I'm so tired. I thought I could add tags or something. I want to like fix up my videos, but uh, I'm exhausted. Let's do this. It's time to play video games. When you're like super tired. Guess I just took mushrooms or something too, so that's nice. In game, not in real life. This guy made me take some sort of herbs. Why am I tiny? What's going on? Way too tired for this. Oh, there it is. It's still a fight, I guess. Who's got a new spell? I have to see what it is.
How did you lose your name? The fire take it?
The 7 weaker projectiles. Man. Seeing that thing like bouncing up and down. I don't know if that's just me. Yeah, it's just me.
A drink a day keeps the clarity away.
Wait, did I just hear something?
You just wanted to save your life.
Good and plenty.
What would have happened anyway?
Traitor!
The druids all look like they're liches or something. Those are not druids, man.
Wait! Just wait! There must be another way! Oh, the king himself! I am unworthy. Oh, forgive me. How wretched I am. Yes, maggot. But I am a worthless maggot. You are here to help? The maggot cannot be helped. The worthless maggot betrayed its family. It ate their carrion. There are no more druids. There is no Murig. What is left is the maggot. I ate them. The vile maggot ate the druids, then ate Murig. And now the maggot is all that's left. The maggot was born when Murig pointed to where his brothers were. Yes, and thus the maggot was born. The maggot doesn't deserve to live. Would you like to kill the maggot? The maggot doesn't want to live.
The bongo cat. He's just a silly looking. We go. Got rid of them before.
Murig gave birth to the maggot. The maggot ate Murig. But the maggot doesn't want to live. Kill the maggot! The maggot won't fight you.
Oh, there you are. It was an interesting journey. That was you? I was sure I was getting killed by King Arthur himself. It seemed strange that he was there, but I felt that I wanted to die. Which was nothing new, to be honest, but at the same time, I didn't. I put my trust in the king. Now, perhaps I should be grateful, and yet I feel like something inside me has died, something important. I am Maggot. Murig died alongside his brothers. Please, I don't want to talk about this anymore. It did. Things I'd forgotten. Things I didn't know I knew. It's not a scroll. It's a tablet, split in two. Druids kept one half. Priestesses kept the other. the druid half. It's at Sagremore's castle. I don't know how he got it. He wasn't the best sort. His castle sank a couple 100 years ago. Just grim stories left now. But my master etched his name in my mind. It has to be there. North of Connacht, near the old dam. Near means anything. Druids weren't precise. You'll feel it when you're close. The air gets heavy. The past lingers. He wanted to be like Arthur, made deals with witches. Druids too, maybe. They promised him eternal life. Then his kingdom vanished. Poof, gone. Adventurers still look for it. They never find it. Maybe you will.
People out here coping so hard, saying they prefer
Auntie.
early access over the demo of House Lord.
Things.
Losers.
Ailey's too busy, so
It's literal cope because he spent $20 on
Do
it.
you need anything else? If not, then please just go. I need to be alone for a while. They say he dreamed of becoming the next King Arthur and did everything he could to live up to the name. Along the way, he encountered 3 witches posing as druids who promised him eternal life. It's likely they were quite powerful, and Sagremore struck a deal with them because, as I mentioned, one day his kingdom simply vanished from the surface of Avalon. Many adventurers have tried to find his castle. After all, how could such a massive structure just disappear? But, as you can imagine, none ever succeeded. I can only hope you will. Most of the old scriptures point to the north of Connacht, near the old water dam. Of course, near could mean 1 mile or 10. Druids weren't exactly known for precise directions. Still, that's your best bet. You'll know you're close when the air feels heavy, like the past is still clinging to the place. That's how it usually is with old druid stuff.
This guy gets it. Devs need to accept the fact that EA is not for early access, not for significantly unfinished or buggy games. It doesn't matter what early access's original purpose was supposed to be, or what the devs wanted it to be. EA is defined by the customers. When people buy something from you and don't enjoy it, your product fully deserves a negative review
What do you
and possibly
want?
a refund. Not worried about Half-Sword's development situation because it seems it's going to be awesome eventually. But if your product still sucks, don't sell it. No hate to the Half-Sword team. And someone said, quoting Soviet Womble, I like that guy on YouTube, who used to be a QA analyst, I had to tell this to so many customers, and this is what I was saying earlier. You never get a second first impression. Early access is your release. It doesn't matter how much you're writing text, how your game isn't finished. When you release it for money, that is your release. Yeah, you don't get this second first impression. Same thing with, like, High Guard. But he says, paraphrasing, but that's the gist. You can find the full quote on The Forest video at the end of it.
You're here. Let me look at you. You seem to have recovered after whatever happened at the Menhir. The All-Mother herself must be watching over you.
Yeah, they shouldn't have sold it yet. It's not ready. It's not the same.
I would gladly explain why you're wrong, but I have neither the time nor the patience to engage in religious disputes.
What the Half-Sword situation is not
If
that
I
big
were
of
a
a deal.
priestess at the
I like
Titan
the
steps, and
devs.
perhaps... But
I like them a
here,
lot. It's just a
take a look
sad
around.
situation that the game
Kunal
came
doesn't
out
need
in.
preaching, it
Such a
needs
poor state.
herding. The entire place is a complete disarray, and the people here are not easily swayed by words. If they were, we wouldn't be in this pickle. I've been trying to work with Lord Yvain to control this situation, but it seems like everything is conspiring against us. First came the Red Priest, braying about the Red Death and accusing people of hiding the diseased. They sow panic and mistrust. And then you showed up and made... We were hoping... Maybe...
Oh, okay. I end up here. How did I get here? Let me look at the fucking map, dude. Thank you. I went to the wrong place. Thought I gotta talk to a frame. I guess I don't. Isn't there someone I should be
The
talking
less
to?
attention. You've come back. Go on.
Do you need something?
Oh, it's Dunhelm. He's on the other side. Okay. People are coping so hard, though. It's crazy. to be an auto run in this game, though. Done helm, done blob. Where are you at? Any oneies? Dunny, son. I'm losing my mind.
Spare a coin for the hungry.
Does I actually want a coin?
Nothing at all. Gold. The true nothingness.
Okay, come on. Never doing that again.
Creeping around like that will only get you more attention. Oh, you managed to extract coherent information? In any case, this truly is good news. You must bring the tablets to me, not to him. Will you? If you give them to Maggot, only Cunoct would benefit. Do you really want to doom all of Avalon for the sake of one small town? I'll await your
Watch yourself. Ah, there you are. Vrel's potion worked like a charm. I feel stronger, faster. Hell, I feel like a young recruit again. Don't you start. It's all in the mind, see? Strength, speed, endurance. It's all about believing you've still got it. Anyway, I'll keep taking it. Maybe I'll even best you in a duel next time, eh?
You had me on the ropes.
Yes? I see you managed to defeat Sanguinor the Crimson. Good job. Some say he was a knight who fell in battle and was brought back to life through dark magic. That he rose from the grave as an undead monstrosity with an insatiable bloodlust. Others say he was just a terrible jerk. Well, Kestrel the Piercer. She believed she was dispensing justice to the wicked, though her favorite crime to punish seemed to be simply having a few coins in one's purse. Well, you do?
I kinda wanna tell him the truth and see what happens.
You. I told you, Gert has a wife and child in Camelot. Don't expect a single coin after this stunt. Don't show your face to me again until you fix this foolishness. You getting tired?
Suck you dry, bucko.
Oh, you'll pay for that.
Don't talk to me like that, bitch. Slice ya and dice ya.
Oh, you... In any case, this truly is good. You must bring the tablets to me, not to him. We'll use them in Camelot for many years, ensuring the safety of nearly the whole...
This guy actually
give them
does
to
is
Maggot.
that's what I want to do.
I'll
Yeah,
await-
I want to go to Camelot with him. Camelot's cool.
Don't you start. Anyway. Yeah. Well, that's the others. You do. So that's how it is. Though, well, here's your gold. I'll...
Flying was the correct fucking move, I guess. Cool, good to know. Gotta lie to them. Gotta do it.
Have some spare food, a coin?
Whatever the All-Mother wanted you to see is between you and her. I can only accept and work with the outcome. Besides, I'm more concerned with the impact your little spectacle had on the sentiments in the village. You've given people hope. Only time will tell if that was misguided or what the consequences will be if it proves true. You shouldn't listen to that lunatic. Every time I see him is under the influence of goddess only knows what. I suppose he's right and the Menhir really can be reignited. Then what? This land is dying and barely produces any crops. Menhir or not, I can't see a future for Kunart. It would need a miracle to survive. Relocation would be the best outcome for everyone. Here lies Lady Maeve, wife of Lord Yvain Tarion, my dearest friend. The one I couldn't help. You're wondering why I'm here, aren't you? I'm wondering the same. I thought I'd find solace or perhaps even grief, but all I feel is numbness. There is more than one way to spread the All-Mother's grace. Why shouldn't a priestess take part in leading the people she serves? Lord Yvain is in a precarious situation. He needs all the support he can get, and supporting him in this endeavor only benefits the residents of Kunart. Besides, my apprentice Ailey is very talented and can handle all the matters that require a more hands-on approach perfectly well. So you've seen what happened with your own eyes. I shouldn't. But maybe the Menhir's reaction to your arrival was a sign from the All-Mother. Maybe you are someone who can help. You asked me before whose grave it is. I come here because it's a reminder of how I failed. I should feel sorrow, guilt, something. But the truth is, I lost part of myself long before Maeve was taken. I stand here. I wait for a feeling to appear, and nothing comes to me. Not ever. At the corrupted temple, something happened when I was still a priestess out there. I feel like something was taken from me, ripped from my very soul. And I've been hearing her voice ever since. Lorelia. And it seems you've only scratched the surface of her purpose. You need to return. Speak to her again, but this time ask directly about me. Who am I to her? Why is she calling? There's something she knows. Something I can't piece together alone. I wouldn't ask this of you if it weren't important. Whatever connection I had to Lorelia, it's tied to what I lost at that temple. If you can find that thread and pull it free, perhaps we'll both find the answers we need. If you want to help me, I need you to go to the corrupted temple, find her, find out what she wants from me. Thank you. Go. May the... May...
Oi! You...
I'm not gonna go into the corrupted temple that I've already been in. Very cool. I don't know if I like this spell. You gotta go back. Back to the past. Samurai Jack. Ah! Oh. Me grunt unga bunga. Bungly bungly. Bungle bungle. Etc. etc. And on and on. Ad infinitum. Or infinitum. Okay, yeah, I am actually losing my mind. Bungle, bungle. Bungle. This is the mist. In the mist. Now, there was a guy that I killed here last time and I couldn't loot him because he weighed way too much. I think he might be over here. If I go down there, I can't get back up or fight. It's definitely this way. Oh, I gotta go that way. His loot be here? That was him, but I think I dropped his loot on the ground, so now it's gone. Rip. Rip, bunga bunga. I'm jump scared by failing a lockpick. I've never failed a lock. Oh, I didn't even have to move it. Oh, Jesus Christ on a cracker. Let's check this out. 307 projectiles. That's good because it's actually better. That's highly crit-tacular. 7 projectiles is going to be really good for crit. I think. They home. I want to look at all my talents again. I'll just be like 40% extra crit damage. Crit damage goes up by 5% per perception. 16. 29%. Yeah. 11. Restore its mana cost. If I kill them, I get mana back. mark him to take more damage. Can reduce their stamina. I guess I might end up doing that. Stun them. I'm reaching the pinnacle, the apex of my strength as a spellcaster.
Oh, how lost you are. How clumsy. If this temple isn't blessed anymore, it's tainted and
This
rotten.
really is a Dark Souls dungeon.
Try to leave
I missed a
while
whole
you
hell of a
still
lot of
draw
it.
breath. Do not repeat the same mistakes I made.
I killed 2 bosses in here, plus a legion of people.
Who am I? Who am I? I'm Kireth. I sought a way to help the priestesses. I was a naive fool. An ascension of a different kind. Perhaps the only one that truly exists. The All-Mother took on an accursed form and revealed herself to the priestesses. A truly wicked theophany.
That's horrible. This needs to move. I made some mashed potatoes. That took way longer than I wanted it to. But of course. Yeah, that's good.
You do not want to know. It's not a decent thing to say out loud. Trust me, do not follow in my footsteps. Do not listen to the singworm's songs. Our sins should remain our own affair. No holy one can erase them with a blessed gesture or word. Now I know that. I believed that faith is nothing more than magic. So if someone's flame of faith was strong enough to care for others, perhaps the fire could be kindled once more to free them from corruption.
It really is Dark Souls.
But I failed. Oh, I suspect that to break the seal that keeps me here, one must first possess a sin. But whether you are sinful enough, that is not for me to judge. The Frithir, however, knows much about sin. Still, I can't ask you to do this for me. It would be best if you simply left this place. You survived the confession, and you carry the essence of sin. That means you can break the spell that locks me in this cell. Please do it, and set me free from this accursed place. Of course, such dedication cannot go unrecognized. There'll be a proper gift, and I promise you won't be disappointed. I just need to get out of here. Can't really reward you while I'm stuck in here.
Okay, I don't trust this guy at all. I got my coffee. I got my mashed potatoes for breakfast. I was gonna go to sleep. Now we are awake double time. Best time to wear a striped sweater is all the time. One with a little turtleneck, that's the kind. When
Quite inspiring to see someone cling to their miserable life with such fervor.
A striped sweater.
I must admit,
he just kind of trails
you
off
spoiled
there.
my mood a little. I thought you'd simply die there, or end up rotting in a cell, much like I did. I feel ashamed being the only enslaved guest here. But thanks to you, that's about to change. Truly profound. Time to go. Finally, I'll take a little stroll around, see how this world has changed. I have a feeling it has much to offer me. My deepest...
What the hell did I just do? Show up in Sagramore Castle. I didn't even know he was in here. I swear to God. One in a big old circum durcum. Holy shit. I've remedied this situation before. What the hell, man?
You can see me, hear me. That's not how it's meant to be. The All-Mother holds all wisdom in prayer. Ah, Niante, the fractured one. Yes, what she cast away. And does she need it? Truly, I held it for her because... Is that what she told you? No. I merely... Because the All-Mother to reclaim it. Then she must prove herself worthy. Take this. It holds what she has lost. Bring it to the All-Mother. Go.
You need something?
Aurelia's voice. So, this is it. If it truly is mine, I cannot leave it in this state. If I try to retrieve part of my soul from this thing, it will poison me as much as it heals me. She's right. Surprising, considering the things she's whispered to me all this time. And I'd like nothing more than to perform the ritual, but the altar isn't safe. Too many of the sick gather there. I can't risk it.
Blah, 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 blah. Do everything for me. I'm worthless. Useless.
What do you want?
Always a pleasure to see you.
In my haste, I just went the wrong way. We've got a medieval speedrun.
Must
An
begin
hour
then.
and 26.
There we go. Kill this guy. Go get the witch talisman, of course. That doesn't really work out in many senses. Because I said so. Dragon Gate Skip didn't even exist when this category was a thing. Anyway, I've got to run this one because I'm second place on the leaderboard for it, and something has to be done. I have to get first, and it shouldn't take too long to do it. I might even do it this attempt. This one could be worth right. We'll see. Okay, Proxy, man. Hopefully it's comfy for you, man. Hopefully you enjoy the medieval gaming. Hopefully it's all nice, man. No one would judge you if you did fall asleep, yeah. I've heard from time to time that this is a great stream to fall asleep to. He's
Made too much Mountain.
I don't know what I said.
Oh, I almost said Mountain Dew mashed potatoes.
Probably.
Mountain Dew mashed potatoes. You know, oddly enough, I think I saw a video that I could make Mountain Dew flavored mashed potatoes, and I do not love them.
At Damien, Force Damien. What's on that one? That's kind of rough. Yeah, so in this spoon, I'm going to be collecting absolutely everything. That's all chalices, all of the rewards, and all of the 5 bottles. And that's basically the whole game. Everything about the game done. The problem is, it's kind of similar to 100%. It's pretty much not different. But it made sense back at the time when this category was made. It did make sense back then. Nowadays, I prefer the glitchless version of this run that I invented. That's a lot more of a cool experience because it's very different from 100%. Here it's like just 100% with a few extra changes. I mean, there's quite a few changes, but deserving of its whole-known category. Look at that, he's got the frame perfect jump. He is a gamer. Look at him go. Look at him fail to go.
I saw that thing in there, right over there.
Almost all
it's like something.
Yeah, that's the new name for this one, man. Yeah, I don't think we'll be getting the Shadow Talisman. Perfectly will be. Even though, like, yeah, here's where it gets weird. Like, strictly max percent would mean get all the key items, which means do no skips, which means glitchless, which means why are we doing glitches? You get what I'm saying? Regularly sleep to the Crystal Caves music, yeah. It is a nice peaceful song. And my lo-fi remix of it perhaps makes it even better for that. Yeah, Barry, I think you just fall asleep. I think that's what it is. I think the circumstances aren't really relevant, surely. Yeah, that's right, Feed. If you don't collect everything in this game, you do skip quite a few levels. That's right. That is absolutely correct. In this run, we won't be able to skip any levels because we've got to go everywhere, you know? So you do get to see the full game. Did I read your message? I did. Shadow Talisman, yeah. I saw it, but I didn't respond, and I didn't see the second message. Slower sleeping village. Yeah. You've got to go out of your way to get the Shadow Talisman in Sleeping Village, which is quite slow. I'm pretty sure, like, the reason why we do Enchanted Left Skip to begin with is because it's faster. By about 1 minute, I believe it is.
I want to do stuff, I'm going to walk my ass all the way.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's faster. It's not just like oh, we want to do Enchanted early without the Shadow Talisman, it's like, it's the fastest way to do it, so we gotta do it anyway, you know? No Talisman, I believe, is faster. Like, think about it, the guy that does the jump to the Chalice room, whatever you want to call it, the guy that does that twice, he does not have to ride the lift all the way to the top and then come back down, you know, to go to the bird's nest and all that. He completely skips that, and he also skips getting the Shadow Talisman instantly. So, I think that's better. And 1 minute is the number that sticks in my head. I don't know for sure if it's true. It might be true. Yeah, Barry, exactly. Exactly. Sucks, but it also has benefits. Yeah, you can stay up all night and watch NKR stream. Yay. You can catch up with the videos you missed, you know. Oh, he's gonna go so crazy with the Super Club in this run because of the PS5 controller, just making it so easy to do it. I'm looking forward to going back to 100% once I'm like fully learn how to use PS5 controller. It's gonna be so much different. It's gonna be way more optimized. This feels great, you know, controlling great. Having a working analog stick is very good. I've got to be very delicate with this controller and keep it in this great condition.
Go on, let me reward you.
Look at me, the gamer.
Still alive?
Truly a gamer.
Why do you keep
A
going?
little hop right there.
I got this evil.
Extra kill for us. Oh, we get both wolves. I think we're getting both guys. 90%, I like that. That's a big time save.
Not as evil as me, though.
That means we don't have to do some backtracking. I don't want the club. I don't want the hammer. You know what I meant. I should get this chalice off of this guy. I don't want to speed glitch on this controller too much, man. I don't want to break it. Got me gentle. This game would be better if speed glitch didn't exist. It'd be so chill. Unfortunately, it's faster, so we're gonna do daggers are stronger than the crossbow. Yeah, the charge, you never use them. Actually, the crossbow's better. The crossbow is far better, but we're using a glitch technique that makes the daggers better. Because the daggers could be charged. Essentially
Went underwater.
Doing charge damage without having to charge off, that kind of thing.
And ended up in the abyss.
It really is.
And there's an actual...
How I say yay tickles you, yeah.
Another, like, Dark Souls Bloodborne fucking castle abyss down here. Completely unique to this area.
Yay.
And that thing, whatever that thing is. Are you kidding me?
Liquid using turbo is allowed, and we are, in fact...
And I can't see the map.
It is saving my controller as we speak.
And there's no, like, travel points. I need a teleport.
We can only, however, do it in the upwards direction. So anytime I have to go any other direction with speed glitch,
you need to be able to
I have
leave.
to do it manually. What does he do there? Yeah, there's our live bottle from Dance Quick. Let's split after this one. Cool. You don't think it's
Wasn't
that
supposed
crucial?
to come
Well,
in
it
here.
saves 30 seconds over the early levels, so at the level that we're playing at, which is unfortunately essential. I would love for it to not be in the game. I would love for it to be banned, if you know what I mean. It was unfortunate that it does actually exist. That's kind of weird. Unfortunately, it exists, and we have to do something about it, and the thing to do is use turbo. Yeah, we can only turbo forward. That's not because it's like because we want it that way. It's because of limitations. It takes 3 different buttons spare on the controller to speed glitch in a single direction, and you know, we're kind of out of buttons, so yeah. I would love for it to be like hold L1 and then speed glitches in whatever direction you're holding the D-pad. But that's like too complicated, and I don't think that's possible to set up. High five there. Yeah, exactly. Once we get dash, speed glitches are relevant, and we won't use that ever again in the rest of the run. Just for the beginner levels though, yeah. Yeah, that is how I defeat the bosses there so quick. Technique that's letting me kill the boss like that. Insanity just defeated the stained glass demon and I'm already over the hill. I mean, you're not that far behind. That isn't that bad. That's like 2 levels and one of them's not really even running. That's pretty good. That ain't that bad, you know. Okay, do we buy, please? Do we buy crossbow here? I think we do. I think we do. Doing this run about what we're buying, what weapons we're using, what's optimal.
Oh yeah, it's a mirror world, that's for sure.
Greetings to you.
Drumsticks
Strange
we're using
soul.
in Scarecrow Fields.
You carry a light that doesn't belong to the Sagramor's realm.
Those are the mandatory
Are
ones.
you?
And we want to be able to use them.
But you
in
won't be able to
Enchanted
grant
Earth.
me absolution. At least not yet.
And in Asylum Grounds as well. So we kind of have to pick one.
Apparently, this is what the world looks like without gods.
I've got the quest.
Everything that was meant to be born here was supposed to fulfill a beautiful mission.
I'll tell you what, Lake will be
Instead,
the last place because we're going to do
came an
it in
endless
Crystal
wandering
Caves. So
in the abyss. Sagramor took a wife, a woman whose power no one was aware of.
it's like 15 drumsticks.
True intention.
Maybe 17
And
is
here
the
it
safe
is.
number for Lake.
The kingdom deep in the abyss, with its abysmal king and queen.
I don't really know what the right answer is for where to use these drumsticks.
That.
We'll see what happens.
It may be my only solace in this
We'll
vale
see.
of tears. The fungus helps me keep my senses, attuning me to the rhythm of this forsaken kingdom.
Alright. First time
making
we're all
me
seeing this level today, that's for
Somehow
sure.
understand. I feel the footsteps of the souls wandering
Scarecrow
above.
feels with a PS5 controller.
I feel their ever unfulfilled needs and desires. The fungus
Red,
conveys
please.
this to me quite clearly.
Can't really be dealing with that, not really.
Yes. And in a way, I accept the workings of this wretched place. I feel as though I am a part of it.
That
It
didn't
gives me
really
some
matter that I failed that
sensible-
because I'm waiting for the enemy to spawn anyway.
And perhaps there is another future for this realm.
Sort of.
Perhaps if we
That's
are all
thing he's
connected
telling
here,
himself.
forming one
That's kind of
single
true, but not
organism, it might lighten our burden.
Well, look how I was able to turn around. I can't do that on my other controller, man. It's too hard.
Only a pure soul can bear the sins of another. My soul was
Your
once
favorite
like
level
that.
visually? Yeah, it's
I
a nice
thought
one.
it would be enough
For sure.
what I thought.
I don't
been
need
here
a
for so
shield, but
long.
I get it while I'm waiting for the guy to spawn in, you know. Sounds pretty good, Barry. I know in the remake here of this game, it's kind of looking like that, like the sky looks that color. In Resurrection too, actually. They kind of got that color going on. Nice sunset, whatever. I wouldn't know, I don't go outside, but yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I took upon myself the sins of my queen.
I remember the last one I did, where the dragon was so crazy.
I swore an oath of
like,
loyalty.
Completely backed it. He killed everyone.
But if I had known the weight of the queen's misdeeds, sometimes I wondered if this is my punishment. A punishment for consorting with someone so corrupt.
Go into Thing, this is a glitched run, we're not using... Wait, no, I need 94. Oh no.
I
need 94, man.
I don't know.
Come in here.
I sought meaning in the All-Mother,
this guy.
Pondered the truths of the Red Priests. I searched for a merciful God, but all was silent. Then I came here, for Sagramore, soon to be king, was about to ascend to the pantheon of demigods, and beside him stood the queen. As rage, I swore to serve them until the end of time. Yet she desired a true kingdom, regardless of the means. Next, there was the descent into the depths where we now find ourselves. This came to pass at the Queen's behest. How twisted and corrupted must one's soul be to desire something so dreadful, to rule alone over the world of shadows. I was stupid. Scroll. Indeed, I recall seeing Druidic sages arriving at the court long ago. I also witnessed powerful acts of magic. Surely the court custodian might know more, but you must forgive me. I cannot provide you with a more specific answer. May goodness and light guide you.
No, this is the main quest. I want to run out and go do my quest, but I'm actually here, so guess I'm doing this. 2 battle mage cards. Hmm. Skeleton Knight. He summoned a whole ass skeleton like abomination against me, but okay. That's fair. Hmm. Void Weaver's Mantle. Here we go. Wait, consumes mana per second. Oh, never mind. It's terrible. Oh my god. Mm-mm. Edition.
Ah, a new guest in our court. Welcome, stranger, to the humble halls of King Sagremore's castle. Are you here to seek an audience with the king and queen? Many are eager to see them, though most are the old regulars. I'm sure their highnesses will be pleased to see a new face. We haven't had many guests of late. Oh, no need to trouble yourself with me, my lord. I am but a simple custodian, a lowly servant of our gracious majesties. Though, if I had performed my duties better, perhaps there wouldn't be so much constant dying. Oh, it's no big deal. We live here in perpetual suspension. Time can't touch us, and it's all thanks to the Queen and her sisters, who decided that would be best for everyone. Well, as long as you don't sin against their majesties, then you might share my fate. Or that of Sir Stygander, who you may have encountered on your way to the castle. Well, I wanted to feel the softness of the royal bed. No, don't look at me like that. It's not what you think. The Queen's honour is intact, at least where I'm concerned. But I happened to be in the chamber when King Sagremore appeared. He wasn't alone, and his companion wasn't the Queen. It was one of the harpist sisters. But shush. The king didn't notice me, but the Queen caught on to my unease. She tried to force me to confess what I had seen. I think she suspected it involved one of the king's indiscretions. In the end, I was the one who paid for his sin. Oh well, it's the lot of servants to bear the burden of their lord's transgressions. Loyalty, of course. Sir Stygander swore to our queen that he would remain faithfully by her side, and that he would take every sin of hers upon his shoulders. That was a very unfortunate pledge, as it later turned out. Now our brave and loyal Sir Stygander is atoning for sins that aren't his. But breaking his vows would be a sin in itself, requiring even more atonement. It's a no-win situation. But such is our fate. Oh, I'm sure they will. But and, before you ask, no, there's no way to speed it up. King Sagram, unless you're aiming to become the court jester, though, now that I think about it, perhaps if the Queen's sisters put in a good word for you, you might just get to the front of the line. Oh, that would be Miss Clare and the midwife. Should I elaborate about the royal family in any particular order? She's the youngest of the sisters. She used to be so sweet and innocent. But now, well, I shouldn't gossip. I'm already trying to make up for that. Just know that Miss Clare isn't a bad person. She became envious of the Queen's love for the king and ended up chasing after boars who never really returned her feelings. I don't know much more than that. Talking to Miss Clare is rather, difficult. You'll see what I mean. She's a wonderful woman, completely dedicated to family. Her life's mission was to bring a child to the royal couple into this world. She loves all the royal children. Unfortunately, none of them are, suited to inherit our kingdom. You'll be fine, as long as you don't insult her family. I'm glad you asked, my lord. All you need to do is kill me, and the keys to the sisters' chambers will reveal themselves to you. Yes, exactly. It's no big deal. I've died thousands of times. That's just how it is for me. Ever since Sagramor's kingdom was established, I've been the keeper of the keys to all the chambers in the castle. And with magic, when a spell says, "guard at the cost of one's own life," well, it tends to take that phrase quite literally. If I died forever, I wouldn't be able to guard the keys anymore, right? So I come back to life every time someone needs a key from me. That's just how things work around here. Hello. Have a...
It's just a bunch of ghosts. Ghosty ghosts. This reminds me of Karazhan. Part after the beginning. After the dance hall where you take a right before, instead of going into the theater room, you take a right and then there's a hallway and then you go down and there's the maiden. This reminds me of that little hallway there. Because on that hallway there's these tiny little rooms in there. This is it, and then down this way would be the maiden. And maybe even a staircase. Gang's all here. Here, eh. Got a rogue, a warrior, and a mage, basically. Cleric. Yeah, this is Karazhan. The Alan Rickman. Things will get brighter. What? What the hell was that? Scorching Pathway? Spirituality. Create a horizontal burning wave of fire. Horizontal burning wave. Heavy cast. Create a heavy horizontal burning wave of fire which pierces through all targets, increasing in width and damage. What the hell is this? New spell, who this? Okay. Okay.
Boss.
Better than nothing.
Not Boss. Boss in the letters. The letters to Boss, to beloved. I write only letters to Boss, to beloved. Yours, Claire. Sister has a tablet. Once she had it. Once, sister. In Sagramore's arms. Once, me in Bo's arms. Forever. Yours, Claire. These, all of them. Letters. Bo's. Boss. Bo. Once upon a time, there lived a young maiden named Claire. So she endured, her heart steadfast in its belief that love could shatter even the darkest of spells, and that one day, somehow, she and Bors would reunite. Once upon a time, there lived a young maiden named Claire. She had 2 sisters, and together they resided in a resplendent castle within a land untouched by the cruelty of time. In this unchanging realm, there was neither the sorrow of endings nor the joy of beginnings. No sunrises, no sunsets, and no seasons to mark the days. Such was the design of the eldest sister, whose insatiable hunger for control bound the kingdom in eternal stillness. She hoarded love and devotion as a dragon hoards treasure. Yet for all her power, her heart remained empty, cursed to feel nothing for eternity. Claire, the youngest and gentlest of the sisters, moved quietly through the cold, unchanging halls. Her beauty was, too, untouched by age or hardship. Yet unlike her sisters, Claire possessed a secret. A flicker of defiance against the curse that gripped their land. His heart swelled with both joy and despair, for he knew he would never again love another as he loved the fair and cursed maiden, Claire. In the days of King Sagramor, there lived Bors, a wandering minstrel whose songs were famed for their beauty and sorrow. Among his melodies was one that bore the weight of his heart, the ballad of a lady named Claire. Claire, a noblewoman of unmatched grace, had been betrayed by her jealous sister, who sold her to a rival lord for power. Locked in a distant tower, her pleas for rescue went unheard. But Bors, who had once sung for her in her father's court and fallen deeply in love, learned of her plight and vowed to save her. He journeyed to the castle where she was held and sang beneath its mist-shrouded walls each night, hoping she might hear him. At last, a faint voice joined his song. Claire, her spirit unbroken despite her captivity, determined, Bors devised a daring plan. Each evening he sang in the castle hall, lulling the court into an enchanted trance. When the moment was right, he slipped away to free Claire. Together, the horse reared and she tumbled from the saddle, straight into Bors's waiting arms. Their eyes met, and in that instant, the maiden felt herself lost. A warmth bloomed upon her cheeks, but a deep foreboding stirred in her stomach, for she knew there would never be another man who could claim her heart so completely. Unbeknownst to her, Bors's bones lay bleached and brittle beneath the sun, hidden in the very field where their love had bloomed. For in Sagramor's kingdom, no crime was graver nor punishment swifter than love. I was writing something important. Do you know what it was? Yes, Bors. Really? I longed for my own Sagramor. My sister. I have two sisters, one older and another the eldest. She's the caregiver. She nurtures, she helps, she tries. She wanted Sagramor. She does. She holds. She has no desire for love. She wants to rule. It's at the very top. Here, you've read these notes. Strange enough.
Who goes there? Are you here to see the children? Oh, my sweet
getting
babies.
really
I lost them all
tired.
before they even got here. They scattered, poor things, like dandelions in the wind. The Queen. She wants nothing to do. I've fallen so far from her good graces. But I will make it right. Maybe when she sees them, even as they are, she will... My little flowers, they're all gone. They die and die at the hands of those who should have loved them, or through their neglect. Poor little things. They deserved so much better. After all, they were barely more than blood on our sister's white sheets. No, no, I swear they are here. They are all here. Our little princes and princesses. They never were, and never will be. Yet they give me no rest. Last night, I dreamt of our brave Wieland pierced by 100 arrows. 2 nights before, he was swallowed by the water. He never left his mother's womb, yet he calls to me always. But I cannot find him. So I write. I write when he last showed himself to me, so I'd know, so I could go to him if I ever had a moment of peace. They are here because I wished for them so desperately. I hoped my sister would be happy. But you cannot force something that was never meant to be. Yet I tried, and tried, and tried. Now they haunt my dreams and waking hours, while the Queen has forgotten she ever carried them under her heart. Really? You'd do that? And you won't hurt them, will you? Please, I cannot bear to hear their cries anymore. I need them close, so I can watch over them as I was meant to. If I could keep that one promise I made to my sister, perhaps then I could finally know peace. Let me think. Renaud, the Crown Prince, loved to stand on the balcony, gazing down at the gardens, watching the legacy that will never come to be. Little Noah, covered in blood. His mother would wash him again and again, scrubbing endlessly. It feels like he rarely leaves the bathtub. Oh, and Hugo, such a sweet child, sleeping soundly in his cot, sleeping and sleeping, always and forever. He has his favorite lullaby.
I need to lay down for just a second. And if I pass out, that's it. That's the game over. There's a good chance I'll pass out. Probably won't. Yeah.
So, Dawn of War 4 got some campaign gameplay revealed to us through IGN recently, and in true IGN fashion, they said not really a lot, at least for anyone who knows about Warhammer and Dawn of War. So we're going to look a little bit deeper into this gameplay to see how the game really feels. Is it more like Dawn of War 1? Is it more like Dawn of War 2? Heaven forbid, is it more like Dawn of War 3? Let's have a look. The first question many have is there base building? And yes, there is. Just like Dawn of War 1 will now have separate buildings for separate things, and you can place them wherever the hell you like. In Dawn of War 2, it was just a single building that acted as your base, so it's nice to see base building fully back. Another question some have is there builder units, those that construct your buildings or repair your buildings? It seems like the answer is no, because we can see a build button here on the UI, not part of the unit, and when you hit this, it opens up the build menu, where you select which building you'd like to construct. And we can see the Gretchen here, which were the builder unit for the Orc army, and it does say can perform repairs, and I guess in a way building is repairing, because the building kind of plonks down and then they repair it up. And also in the Orc faction video from Dawn of War, we can see goblins dancing around the buildings as they go up, so maybe they kind of do act as builders, although in one of these right here, you see it looks like orcs are actually doing the repairing, so not entirely sure. Personally, I do hope there are builder units, because they do add a layer of strategy. If you want to go in and take out the enemy builders, you can stop them producing buildings, you can stop them repairing buildings, repairing vehicles. But yeah, overall very nice to see base building return to the game, as it does add the fun of base building, but also the tactics and strategy of taking out enemy buildings and stuff like that, or build order and which to prioritize, etc., depending on how you want to play. And in terms of the currencies the game is going to revolve around, it's good old requisition and power, just like the previous games. And looking at the minimap, we can see this is going to work more like Dawn of War 2, where you have both requisition and power points to capture around the map, whereas in Dawn of War 1 it was only requisition points to capture, and power was generated through buildings that you'd construct in your base. Although there's a bit of a Dawn of War 1-ism, as requisition points can be upgraded, which you could do in Dawn of War 1, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you could do in Dawn of War 2. You could upgrade the power points, but not the requisition points. But as we can see here, the player is going to upgrade the requisition point, and we see the animation for it upgrading here. So that's nice, I think, to make requisition points feel a little more important. In terms of the units, it's going to be the good old favorites, the same as Dawn of War 1 and 2 largely, but with the new additions up to 10th edition, we got like the Squigosaurs and Squighogs. So units that are new to Dawn of War at least, which will be pretty nice. And of course, your forces will be led by a hero who seem like they're a bit more in line with the rest of the army now, at least in terms of power in that Dawn of War that we shall not name. Heroes were kind of made the center, they were MOBAized and made too powerful for the rest of the units. And we can see some of the customization choices for Guzzcutter going on here. He can deploy a Bomb Squig as an ability, that's a choice. He also has one for Boss Pole, increases damage dealt, XP gain for Guzzcutter and attached unit, health regen as well. So that's one option. The other is Cyborg Strength, perform a melee attack that knocks the target down, damaging and stunning nearby enemies. And then we can also see that he has a few different weapon options as well, a few different setups, so you have some customization with your heroes to make them play how you want to. Very nice. And we can see the same thing with normal units here as well, some shooter boys. They can get a boss knob added to the unit, increasing the damage dealt. Looks like they can also get a grenade added here, and there's 2 more ability slots. Can't see what the actual abilities are, but some options for upgrading the unit and maybe pushing it towards a certain role that you'd like it to fill is going to require some veterancy, so you're going to want to try to keep your units alive so they can level up, get stronger, get these new abilities. We can also see that there's research that can be done with these Squighogs here. You can upgrade their capture speed with this little research. Doesn't seem to cost anything other than a bit of time, which is kind of weird. Normally you have to pay for your research in requisition or power or both. But of course, this is a pre-release demo, so we'll have to see how it is for the final game. So all in all, with the way you upgrade heroes and units, it looks more akin to Dawn of War 2, which I think is a better system overall. Having units that are just dedicated to doing one certain thing, rather than the Dawn of War 1 style of having 4 different weapon options, and you can have one of each if you like. But that would be extremely weird and inefficient, and personally, I just pretty much built one weapon for one unit, and that they were the flamer unit, they were the missile unit, etc. But I believe this is in line with more how tabletop used to be, or is, I don't know, tabletop nerds, correct me by all means. But yeah, personally, I'm happy with the upgrade system for the units and the heroes. But how about cover then? How is that going to work? Well, in Dawn of War 1, it was just patches on the ground, craters on the ground that would say light cover or heavy cover. And if you stood in it, you'd obviously gain some protection from incoming fire. In Dawn of War 2, it was more of a company of heroes system where you put your units where the yellow dots are for half cover and green dots for full cover, but nowhere in the gameplay do we see any green or yellow dots, so we can assume that this kind of cover system is not in Dawn of War 4, and maybe it's more like a Dawn of War 1 system where there's just patches or craters on the ground you can stand in, or maybe it's neither. As we can see here, these two ranged units are stood behind some actual physical cover, so maybe this is all there is of a cover system now? Are these pre-placed here on the map, or can I build them myself wherever I want or in certain spots? Not entirely sure, but it seems like that might be how cover is going to work now. If that's the case, it's hard to know whether that's going to be better or worse for the game. On one hand, it might add some strategy to holding those points and making those points feel more important if it's just set place little barricaded areas, but it means most units will be fighting out in the open with not really any use of cover. But I guess there was a lot of that in Dawn of War anyway. Another thing we can notice pointing this towards being more like Dawn of War 2 is the retreat button we can see here. This wasn't in Dawn of War 1. If you wanted your unit to retreat, you just literally had to pull them back. But in Dawn of War 2, if you pressed this retreat button when your unit was in trouble, they would then run back to base. You wouldn't be able to control them anymore, but they would get a speed increase and a damage reduction, so more chance of them surviving basically, and you could save the unit potentially if it was in trouble. And this was all about keeping your units alive rather than them getting wiped out and losing their experience. You want them to gain veterancy so they can get those higher level abilities or war gear. Another thing we can notice is pickups around the map. You see this orc unit here goes up to a little health pickup and then gets healed. I don't recall ever seeing a health pickup around the map in Dawn of War, so that's something a little bit different, a little bit new. Not sure how I feel about it, because normally healing up the units is another unit's job. Like for the orcs, it's the Pain Boy or the Mad Doc in Dawn of War 1, I think. But what other power-ups are going to be around the map? Is there going to be like a damage boost one or a speed boost one? That's maybe a little bit too arcadey for my taste, I don't know. But overall, I think Dawn of War 4 is looking pretty promising. It's more like Dawn of War 2 with just a few Dawn of War 1 touches and a sprinkle of its own new ideas. Visually, the game is looking great as well. I don't think anyone can argue that. The new combat system looks very nice, the way the units interact with each other and actually have matched animations and such. The audio is sounding great. But watching this gameplay, I'm not entirely without concern. There's a couple of things. Firstly, numbers. If you look at the army down on the bottom of the UI, it's 20 units. 20 freaking units. That's Total War level of units, not really Dawn of War level of units. And looking at some of this gameplay, it looks like it quickly descends into a mess like this, where there's just so much going on. It's going to be hard to actually find those matchups you're looking for and to use the tactics of your abilities and stuff like that. I mean, just look at all the units here. Look at all the different types of units. How the hell do you manage this mess? Now, it could be a case of a couple of simple explanations here. Number one, this is just a demo to show off some stuff. And as we can see, the pop count in the top left says 40 of 300, and it's a 20 stack. So obviously that's not correct. It's just for the demo. It's not really reporting correctly. Cool, whatever. But still, you can have this many units. It also could be the case that, well, it's an IGN game journalist playing, and they somehow managed to make their gameplay look like they've never played a video game before in their life. In fact, it might even be a requirement to get a job there that you have to put on your resume you've never played a video game before. But to me at least, Dawn of War has never been about mass scale and having lots of units. It's about having a small handful of units and using them well, using them optimally, getting those good matchups and using their strengths against the enemy's weakness. I've recently played through the Dawn of War 1 campaign on the hardest difficulty, and I never used more than maybe 5 or 10 units at a time. If you watch any Dawn of War Pro matches, 1v1s, the armies are never very big. And so if this game is going for scale and thinks players want scale and massive battles that are just mashups of madness and you can't really see what the fuck is going on because there's simply too much to manage, well, that's probably not going to go down well. But by all means, other Dawn of War players, tell me, what do you think? Do you prefer it smaller? Do you want it bigger? Let me know. Maybe I'm the minority here. Basically, I just want it to stay strategic, stay tactical, and it's hard to do that when it's just a fustercluck. Out of interest, I wanted to see what a full population cap army looks like in Dawn of War 1, because I never really get anywhere near full cap, to be honest. And I guess it looks pretty big, but like I say, I never really get here. This is just me attack moving into the enemy base. I only put this on easy so I could build the cap, but undoubtedly old Dawn of Wars can turn into this kind of mess every now and again. But yeah, I don't know if I'm just a bad player or I'm doing something wrong, but normally I probably don't even get to like half the cap of what I could have, and I still manage to finish the campaigns and stuff on the hardest difficulties. So yeah, don't know if I'm just weird or whether there's just an excessive amount of cap. The other thing that bothered me was that the IGN guy went through the first 3 campaign missions of the Orc campaign and explained them a little bit, and this is the 3 mini-maps of each of those levels. And they all kind of just look like regular old skirmishes, just on a different map. And so I do have to wonder, is this just going to be every campaign mission is just a different skirmish? Because previously there was kind of set pieces. You might have a more linear mission where there's like a certain challenge you have to overcome on the way, and then you continue, and there's another challenge. Or a couple of different ways you could progress through the map, so there was a little bit of freedom, but if it's just a straight up skirmish every time, then, well, it's just a straight up skirmish every time. And I can't really tell just by looking at this, but it kind of feels like the maps are maybe kind of small, like there's about 5 requisition points and 5 power points on each of these maps roughly, and some older Dawn of War game maps can feel pretty huge, or some are very small, some are somewhere in between. But this is kind of looking like all these maps are roughly the same size, and if they're all skirmishes and they're all the same size, it's... Don't know, I'll have to see, I guess. It's hard to tell without playing it exactly how it is, but I guess I'm just worried that every mission is kind of going to feel the same. But by all means, I could be wrong on the way I'm interpreting the maps and stuff, so I guess we'll have to see. It would be surprising if the campaign was just a different skirmish every time for like 8 or 10 missions for each campaign, because this is being made by the same studio that made Iron Harvest, and I know some people didn't like that game, but I personally quite enjoyed it. It was alright. I played through the campaigns. One thing the campaign did have going for it was the variety in the missions across the campaign. It wasn't just 8 skirmishes in a row. You might have one map that was a skirmish. The next mission you'd have to go and get some civilians from a city and escort them back out of the city and keep them alive. The next mission might be a stealth mission. You only use a few units, so there was some variety in the types of missions you were doing in the campaign, and that's what I'd hope for with this. Through a campaign, I want to experience different things, different challenges. I don't just want to play a skirmish every single game. I enjoy a good set piece, an escort mission, a defend mission, and assumedly the campaigns are going to be the biggest sell for most people. Multiplayer will no doubt have an audience, and I'm sure lots of people will get into that, but it's probably not the majority of people. Most people are probably going to play the campaigns once, unless there's a reason to play them twice, like a branching storyline or a different set of missions you can play, which I know there is to some degree with this game. Apparently there is going to be some choices to make, but whether they're actually meaningful, consequential choices, or whether they're just kind of fluff choices that give you the illusion of consequence, we'll have to see. But if the game wants to give itself some longevity, hopefully there is some variation in the campaign missions. There is choices that result in different missions being able to be played. That's going to give the replay value to campaigns while we wait for more campaigns to come along, because obviously they're going to do other factions, Necrons, Tyranids, Chaos, etc. So yeah, I have a lot of excitement for Dawn of War 4, but a few reservations until I can get my hands on it a little bit more. I have played a little demo from a while ago, but that's like probably a year old at this point. So I'm sure some things have likely changed, and I know nothing of campaign outside of what IGN has given us in this video. But yeah, we'll have to see. Hopefully I can get my hands on this in the not too distant future and give you an update. And do let me know how you're feeling about Dawn of War 4. Are you looking forward to it? Are you excited? I'm sure we're all cautiously optimistic, even if you're new to the game or a returning Dawn of War player. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the future. Gorbad Ironclaw. Inspirational leader, true warrior, and the most...
Oi! Let's play Toast to Gobbo again!
Today, we're going to take the most inspirational orc of all time on a quest to retake the Badlands. But Gorbad isn't just any old orc, he's a tactical genius. So we're going to attempt to use a different army or different tactical strategy in every single battle, including some from real-world history and some that probably aren't from real-world history. So, Gorbad campaign, very hard, a little bit of an enemy stat boost. Gorbad starts in the good old Black Crag settlement with a fairly versatile little army and an orc shaman named Steve Coalmuncher. So he's already got the perfect name and he's going in the army, but most of our units here aren't required for our first strategy. We're going to need a lot of squigs. You'll see why. First, I'm going to recruit another lord so I can kind of use him as a storage unit for my units and switch them out when I need them. He needed a more savage orky name though, so say hello to Simon Rotgut. Now, our first real order of business was taking Iron Rock, and we were going to do that with the power of Squig and Gorbad's unique mechanic, the plan, that gives us a whole host of tactics and strategies to make use of. This one, Erd Mentality, upkeep reduction for Squigs, and this ability that gives them up to 40 melee defense and a 40% damage resistance, which is pretty huge, and makes the Squigs unbreakable, so they're not going to run away like they usually do. So we're going to equip this. It only lasts 3 turns, so we got to act fast, and then we're ready to take Iron Rock. Now we roll up on it, and it's got some pretty good defenses there. It's predicted a close defeat. They don't trust in our Squigs, but they obviously haven't witnessed their fearsome march. I know, terrifying. And there's only one way to deploy an army of squigs: squig balls. Because with the Erd Mentality ability, our squigs need to be near each other to get that buff. And the more squigs that are packed in together, the bigger a buff they're going to get. So we're going to be a big ball of death charging into the enemy here, center mass of their army, trying to keep as many squigs as tightly packed as possible. And it's working pretty well here. You can see we're at 90% Erd Mentality, so a lot of protection for our squiggos. I'm going to have one squig Phallus of Doom sneak through the middle to get after the missiles, and then Steve and Gorbad going after the enemy Lord. This is also the enemy faction leader, so if we can win this battle, we'll get the Confederation. It doesn't take the boys long to absolutely bonk the enemy leader on the head. Our squigs have still been going strong with that crazy extra melee defense and damage resistance, and with a little squig hammer and anvil, this one is going to be in the bag. So, Iron Rock was ours, as was the Confederation, which meant all of this was ours. Now, as my intention here is to try and use a different army for every battle, we're not going to use Erd Mentality again, we're going to switch it up, but still make use of the squigs, trying to use this one this time: light them up. This will give the flammable trait to the squigs, meaning anything they attack will get a weakness to fire, and it enables flaming attacks for missile units. So I decided to go full Mongol with this one, because as we all know, the Mongols are well known for their use of squigs in battle, and of course, archer cavalry. Upon remembering, though, that I'm not going to have Erd Mentality active in this one, so my squigs aren't going to be as strong, I need to put something in there with them, so just a few gobbos to take the damage off them. And for our next target, we were going to head westward towards this other greenskin faction, because we can confederate them too if we can beat up their leader, who, while I'm on the way there, very conveniently comes out and stands right next to me. So we set our plan to light them up and then get after them. And it's predicted as a valiant defeat, and looking at their army, I'm not massively confident, but we're gonna have a go. I start off by trying a Wolf Rider Caracol, a tactic some of you might remember from my Genghis Khan video, but it doesn't quite come off here. They're supposed to run around in a constant circle and shoot, but they didn't really get the chance here because I forgot the Wolf Rider Cavalry was right there, so that kind of went to Scheisse. But whatever, send in the squigs, let's get things flammable and let's start shooting at them. We get in there with the squigs, start raining down some missiles. Obviously, Skirmish Cav is a little bit slower in damage output, so this will probably work better with normal missile units. But it seems to do okay against the trolls because they already have a 20% weakness to fire, so now they have a 40% weakness to fire, which is some pretty good extra damage for our missiles. The battle does end up a little messy overall. I did get some of my cavalry behind the enemy though, shooting them in the back, and we still got some in the front, so we're kind of shooting the front line of the enemy in the front and the back. So it's kind of worked out. The extra damage on the trolls seemed to help. They were one of the more dangerous units of the enemy army, but we got it done. Some of the Wolf Riders came away with 50 and 60 kills, so they actually did pretty alright out of that. We then took the Confederation and gained even more territory. But alas, over the turn, jealous of our strong Mongol tactics, Malagor came and declared war on us and took Ekrond and razed it straight to the ground. After this, he seemingly buggered off and I wasn't getting any replenishment, so I decided to get rid of my units to start building for the next plan. But that little shit Malagor appeared out of nowhere again and besieged me, not with much of an army, and luckily we were able to get a Pyrrhic victory auto-resolve, which I took. Fuck you, Malagor. And with that close shave, I started recruiting as quickly as possible, but over the turn, guess who's declaring war on me now? It's the damn nearby ogres. They had a big old army that looked like it was probably coming for me very shortly, so I decided just to abandon this settlement and get the hell out of there, regroup back in our home territory, not before taking out their stupid ogre camp though. So we lost all the territory we gained in the west to the ogres, but we're gonna come back with a vengeance because you know Gorbad's got the plan to deal with them. To unlock this plan though, we need to get more kills with spear units, so I'm gonna start farming rats, because they're easy to kill and they're right next to us. So I send Simon Rotgut over to start training the spearmen against the rats, declaring war on Clan Moors, which I'm pretty sure is not a good idea, but I need someone to train my spearmen on, so they're it. I'm only gonna sack this settlement so I can repeat the process. And once we do that one more time, we unlock the new tactic, stick 'em like pigs. You'll see. I then recruit a last batch of spearmen, take Simon's spearmen off him, and as I start heading west again to get after those ogres, they once again get after me, attacking Doc Karaz in the north, and making the fatal mistake of showing me where they are. So we're gonna get them. This is where we activate Stick 'em Like Pigs, where we're gonna get extra bonus versus large, melee reflection, and a physical resistance. And just as we're on the way to get them, they come and get us. But we're gonna do them dwarf style in this one, as we're going for a big old box formation. Sturdy, reliable, impenetrable, hopefully. In hindsight, I wish I put some missiles and maybe artillery into this army. It would have been a lot better, especially as these big boy ogres tower above our boys, so we would have been able to shoot them quite easily. But our boys are going to get charged right in the face, but they're going to hold strong. They got that 10% physical resistance, protecting them from a bit of damage, and the melee reflection, so they're doing some extra damage back to the ogres. I've got my Black Orc Big Boss Knob Nails, which was his given name, by the way, supporting one corner, and Gorbad himself protects the other. They're only really attacking us on these two front corners more than anything, not really getting anywhere near the back. Gorbad chopping down those ogres. Eventually, though, their lord starts pushing through the box and nearly gets through, so we have to answer that. Gorbad himself is going to come over and deal with him, and with a little help from our boy Steve, dropping an Here We Go to boost everyone's melee attack by 40, this lord is going to get messed up pretty quick, and the ogre assault crumbles. We then retake Doc Karaz and keep the momentum going, pushing around to start taking the Western Badlands, going after Stone Mine Tower and clearing out its rat infestation. And unsure what I can really do differently with an army of spearmen, I activate the Power of Dawar plan, which reduces magic cost, reduces cooldown time, and gives us a little extra magic to play with. So for this one, we once again assumed the box formation, but I mostly got through this, spamming Brain Bursters and Here We Goes all over the place. The enemy did have the missile advantage, so they were wearing us down from range, which the ogres couldn't do, but eventually Gorbad spotted an advantage to be taken in the distance. A little rat, all by himself, the lord of the army. Gorbad wasted no time in going after him, but there was a bunch of rats in his way that were going to slow him down. Good old Steve helped him out though with a brain burster that would clear the way so Gorbad could get through that line and get after that lord. And it wasn't long before that rat lord couldn't keep his head on straight, or on at all. And with that, the rats fucked right off. And with that, the first settlement of the Western Badlands was ours. Back over by Black Crag, I had Simon preparing to go after some rats again, trying to use cavalry to unlock a plan for them. But oh scheisse, we got ambushed, his army pretty small, not really sure what we're getting ambushed by. Oh dear. The assault not terribly aggressive from the start, we had a bit of time to maneuver. I had the infantry ready to face their infantry and got the cavalry after their missiles. They had some pretty dangerous ones in there, and they were the only real worry, otherwise it's mostly clan rats and Skaven slaves, so nothing too much to worry about, just those ranged units. Just the one army as well, didn't seem to be any reinforcements. So with the boars taking care of the ranged and the boys hammer and anviling the infantry, we were mostly fine. There was a unit of the council guard though that came along. They were a little tougher to get through, but we handled them. We survived. We then chased down the remainder of their army, and hey, we've got a lot of the boar kills that we needed, so nice. Pushing more onto the Western Badlands, we now had the ogres to finish off. There was a big army right in front of us, so we prepared to stick them like pigs again. Didn't want to use the exact same tactics as we did before, though, so Gorbad was going to have to think up something different. And it just so happened that Gork and Mork smiled on us this day as they gave us a choke point map. And Gorbad remembered the great battle of old, the Battle of Thermopylae, the 300 Spartans and King Leonidas that held the pass. And guess what? We've got 77 orcs, we've got 119 orcs, we've got 102 orcs, that's 298 orcs. Add in a big boss and Gorbad, that is 300 orcs that are going to hold this pass and no more. If the boys couldn't do it, then the rest of the army was going to get flanked, so it was up to them. And I guess the rest of my army is kind of role-playing as the mountains that protected the pass of Thermopylae. Now, because we're the attacking force, we have to encourage the enemy to come to us, so a few brain bursters on these pigback riders should do the job. And in they came, sending in their blood vultures first of all, which doesn't sound like much, but they are knocking down our 300 here. And you know, we're going to need them to deal with all the ogres. So I'm getting Gorbad in there, I'm getting Knobnails in there, trying to kill them off as quickly as possible. And eventually, just like in the actual Battle of Thermopylae, the lions arrived and started coming after us. And then all the ogre boys too. So it was up to our 300 spear warriors to defend us, or 298 spear warriors and 2 axe warriors. Some units did attack the backside as well. I had Steve buffing up those units with Here We Goes to protect them. I didn't use Steve on the 300 because, you know, Spartans didn't use magic until a few years later. There was a few things on the other side, but barely anything. Mostly it was a question of can the 300 hold, because it's looking a little bleak right now. There's a lot of ogres in there. The ogre lord is in there. Knobnails was taking him on, but he was slowly losing, so I brought Gorbad over to help him out. Tried to focus on cutting off the head of the ogre snake. But the boys were holding strong, keeping them there. A little while to help them out. I very nearly did cave. I moved these 2 units up because I was going to get them in there to help the 300, but I stopped and said, no, believe in your Spartan orcs. They will hold. They've got that protection of stick 'em like pigs. But as the battle wore on, our lines were getting thinner and thinner, and the 300 was becoming less and less and less. They're probably like the 150 now or something. But with Gorbad and Knobnails beating down the Lord and him breaking, we start to get the ogres wavering, and what do you know? The boys have actually held the pass. Except for the Lord who did sneak through, taking the piss, so we made sure Gorbad and Knobnails let him know who's boss, getting revenge for them chasing us off earlier. And with that victory, we beat down their army, we chased down their army, getting their garrison involved, get a decisive victory auto-resolve on that, clearing the way for us to rightfully reclaim our land of Bitterstone Mine, another section of the Western Badlands. At this point, I'd now unlocked Gorbad's unique skill line, Getting Ears the Plan, a nice defensive buff for a unit, and most of this line is about supporting certain parts of the army, the melee troops, the missile troops, etc. And as you can see, I've been putting most of my skill points into buffing up Gorbad himself, not really into the red line. Because I'm changing my army all the time, I figured they'd be a little bit wasted, and I wanted to rely on the tactics and the plan to get things done. We were then free to push on and take Ekrund, and finally rid the world of those Feastmaster ogres. We just about managed to have enough boys left in the tank as well to take out the rats controlling Dragonhorn mines, and with that, the Western Badlands was ours. Back over near Iron Rock, a Skaven army was approaching, so I had to underway Simon over there to protect it because it doesn't have much of a garrison yet, and over another turn, a second army appeared, so this was looking a little bleak. Luckily, I had recruited some extra boar boys over that turn and decided to take the closer army on. Rather than trying to take on both armies at once, I think I'd have a better chance doing one at a time, even if I am beaten down after the first one. So we got rid of them, managed to unlock the boar tactic we were trying to get, and then headed back into Iron Rock to replenish. I didn't like my chances greatly though, as it was a quick head taker army, so a proper legendary lord with a fairly strong army there. I decided to recruit a few regiments of renown to try and scare him off, and it seemed to work as he retreated back to Karak 8 Peaks. I then recruited myself a Night Goblin Big Boss for some future planned tactics. And he was seemingly named after Gorbad's weapon, Morglor the Mangler, but Gorbad couldn't have that, so we needed to give him an equally terrifying name, Stuart. Now at this point I wanted to take on Clan Moors and go and get the Eastern Badlands off them, but I didn't want to leave the Western Badlands undefended. So Gorbad and Simon did a swapsy, swapping some units along the way, and what do you know, on the turn where Simon Rockgut arrives back in the Western Badlands, he is attacked straight away by Malagor, so lucky time in there, as we can get an easy auto-resolve. Malagor then asks for peace, which I take so we can focus on Clan Moors. And it's a good job too, because they're sending armies after us, 2 full stacks here. I decide it's time to war up. And I'm going to make Karak 8 Peaks my target just to annoy the rats, even though I don't need to take it, it's not part of the Badlands, but at least I can annoy them and everyone else who wants 8 Peaks. Now for these 2 armies that are coming our way, one of them is pretty dangerous, the other one is mostly crap. But Gorbad is ready with his next tactic with a lot of boars. We're going to use Lead the Charge. This is going to give mass to our boars and the Lead the Charge ability to Knobnails, which gives us some extra charge power and devastating flanker. And as Gorbad has leveled up and unlocked a second tactic slot, we are going to use Gorbad's boys, which will give them a nice damage boost whenever a lord or hero is nearby the boys. Now I expected these rat armies to come at me, but they both split off in different directions. I had to chase them around a little and stop them taking Iron Rock, and I was hoping they weren't going to go and take Dewazbag to the north, but oh scheiße, we got ambushed again. It's going to be that strong army and that small army at least, hopefully no more. Let's have them. We're trundling calmly through the desert. We can see our attackers, but we can't do anything yet. Alright, this first army seems to be the crappy one with Skaven slaves and clan rats, so nothing to worry about. We should be able to mow this lot down pretty easily, and then I want to try and take this hill where these Skaven are. I'm sending my infantry over there, and I want to take that hill and hold it, because there's a reinforcement army coming from here, and another one on the complete opposite side of the map, and what we don't want to do is just sit in the middle of the map and then get sandwiched by those two. And here comes our big boar charges, absolutely obliterating this Skaven infantry. They're buffed up by Lead the Charge from the big boss as well. Beautiful. The little army on that hill has come down and attacked my infantry, so we're setting up some big hammer and anvil here. Again, boar power, got that extra mass, gonna absolutely destroy all this crappy little infantry, and the reinforcing armies have arrived now, but you see this one's a pretty long way away, so because we're more over this side, it's gonna take them a while to get us, and we can deal with the other reinforcing army first. And they have started coming in, but I set up a bunch of my boars ready to attack whatever comes out of there. They got some artillery, they got some poison wind mortars, so we need to make sure that stuff doesn't get firing, otherwise it may mess up our little orc boy line that is holding the hill here. And it's these boys who are going to take on that remaining reinforcement army coming from the other side. And that army does start to arrive, but it only trickles in because the enemy's got too many units on the field and they can only have a new one when another one dies, so they got to wait for all their stuff to come in. But there is some strong missile units, again, more poison wind mortars, artillery. We got to take care of that. I do send one unit of boar boys to try and get after them, but they get bombarded by the poison winds and can't get anything done. I do get all over the poison winds that come in on the other side though, so they're not a problem, but I really do need to stop the other ones, otherwise they're going to bombard my hill-holding orc boys. So what can we do? Fucking Knobnails, mate. He's coming with a couple of his boar boys and he's going to make sure that they do nothing. Absolutely nothing. Gorbad's been holding the line with the boys, but the storm vermin just keep coming, and our orc boys are going to get worn down by them. They do get a bit flanked by the other army's units that have snuck past as well. I am trying to buff them up as much as I can with Gorbad, and they do have the Gorbad's boys tactic on there as well, so we are getting the buff from that. But as time wears on, we start getting worn down. One of our orc boys breaks. We are a bit flanked now. We are in trouble. There is a lot of storm vermin left. Can anybody save us? Fucking Knobnails, mate. He's back again with some big charges from his boars, and he is actually going to save the day because our orc boys had pretty much had it on the brink of destruction. All these storm vermin still to get through. They need the armor-piercing damage of the boars, some doom flayers in there as well, and slowly but surely, with a good bit of clobbering and a little bit of mumbo-jumbo chant, we're able to get rid of them. So we survive the ambush, get rid of one of the armies that came after us, and then another fresh stack arrives. Fantastic. That army looks like it's going for Black Crag, which should be able to defend itself, but I'm going to put an extra lord in there just in case. They do besiege us, but I don't like my chances of fighting the battle, so I just bring Gorbad over to scare them off, and it works. But then it looks like it's going to go after Iron Rock, so I get some regiments of renown there quickly just to help defend that. And of course they did besiege us over the turn, and a valiant defeat. I can't get the victory, so I gotta fight this one. This was a fairly unremarkable battle, to be honest. I just got after the missiles, tried to flank them as much as possible. The biggest issue was Queek himself. It pretty much came down to him, but after a lot of shooting and a little bit of troll bonking, we got him. Now at this point I realized if I just keep sitting here, they're just going to keep sending armies, so I got to get after them and push them back. So I'm going to push on Valea Sorrow. There's a few armies in that direction, but we got a nice big new army with some big new tactics planned. I'm also building up a second army with another very specific, unique plan. Now, when it came to 8 Peaks, it wasn't really my plan to take it, and when I noticed 3 stacks of Crooked Moon Goblins coming for it, I figured they can have it. I'm not fussed about going to war with them for it, so just let them have it. As long as everything around us is green, all is well. And I figured once they've taken it, I can give them Valea Sorrow to get a non-aggression and whatever else. And as I did start to push southward, a little Skaven army underwayed back over towards Valea Sorrow, so I had to come back and take that out. I then realized, hey, I might as well come and sack Karak 8 Peaks and get some money out of it and make it easier for the Crooked Moon to take it. So we did that and claimed a nice 14 grand. I then raised it afterwards as well. And as we're about to start pushing south, we need more tactics. So we're getting the Black Battalion. This gives the option to any orc infantry to have immovable bulwark or unstoppable choppers active for more defenses or more attack power. So we're taking that because it's going to be very handy for our upcoming Roman formation, and lead to charge again because, well, it's just a lot of fun, to be honest. We then push on to Crooked Fang Fort, which I'm actually going to besiege. Because there's an enemy army nearby, I want to draw them into the fight so we can crush them at the same time and don't have to chase them around. And over the turn, we get one. We get Queek's army, a pretty strong army, and a Pyrrhic victory if we want it. It's only my War army for some reason, but I decide to take it and get that army out the way. But then, triple scheisse! From the arse end of nowhere, 2 more armies have come and got us, as well as the garrison, so we've got 3 stacks to try and defeat. We could take the Pyrrhic, but nah. Veni vidi vici. 3 armies or not, we were going to attempt the Triplex Aces, a classic Roman formation. 3 lines set out in a checkerboard kind of formation, with the Hastati boys at the front, the younger, more inexperienced, lesser infantry, and they do have the option of unstoppable choppers or immovable bulwark. And then you have the Principigans. These are the more experienced infantry, bigger, tougher boys, again got those same 2 buffs. And the last line of defense, if all else fails, the Triari Black Orcs. The toughest, most experienced soldiers that'll only get into the fight if the other 2 lots fail. But something tells me they might be needed in this fight. And then at the front, some Velites, sort of. They're just crossbows, alright? We don't have any javelins. This is all we got. They'll do. Ruglugs, armored orcs. So we push up on the first army in front of us under some slight bombardment. They do have one of their reinforcement armies coming in behind them, so a lot of stuff coming from this direction, and the other reinforcement army is behind us, which isn't great, but we do have our War army that started over that side as well, so I'm going to get them to try and disrupt that army and slow them down so that we can deal with these 2 first. So we charge up on them, they start charging us back, our Hastati boys getting into the combat. They shouldn't have any trouble with all the clan rats coming their way. They are under missile fire a little bit though, but not for long, because you know why? Fucking Knobnails, mate. He's coming around the flank with all of his boar cavalry, just as Julius Caesar probably once did. Our front boys holding strong though, although some of the big uns have had to get involved a little bit just because of the enemy numbers. And Knobnail's boys are of course on hand to lend a few charges to help the cause, boosted up in their charge bonus and the extra mass of course, so them rats go flying. The reinforcing army behind us is being pretty well distracted by the War army, so this is buying the main army time. They are being a bit of a sacrifice though. They're probably not going to make it out of this battle. Again though, there is some strong missile units that we really need to stop. And as the battle wears on, we're still kind of holding on. Our Orc Boy line is still kind of there, the Big Un line is there, and the Black Orcs haven't had to get involved yet. The formation is holding strong. Gorbad has been getting stuck in on the front line as well, helping support the boys here and there. And eventually the Triari Blackhawks time has come, as units are going to start reaching us from the behind army, and it is going to start to become a little bit of a problem, namely because all these missile units are here and they're starting to wail on us. Nobnail should be cleaning them up, but he's gone off on one, is chasing some stuff out wide, so he needs to get back here as quickly as possible, especially as one of our Blackhawk units has just broken thanks to the More Skitters Hellion, the regiment of renowned mutant rat ogre. He is a problem. Gorbad's giving him hell, but he's going to need to get out of there as well. And eventually it starts chasing poor old Steve, who says fuck this and gets the hell out of there. He nearly got his head smashed off in the process though. Run, Steve, run! Steve, being the big brain orc that he is though, runs the thing into some big Sapes, who are of course anti-large. He then pops Here We Go on them to boost their melee attack, and it's goodbye Hellion. As this battle wears on though, the Skaven just keep on coming, and the favor not looking too great for us. We're getting worn down, there's a lot of rats left, still some missiles. Nobnails has been running them down as best as he can. The boys are still fighting hard to survive, but then the heavens open and Gork himself graces us with his presence, lending a foot, swiftly putting an end to a large group of Skaven, and turning the tide of the battle, probably. And after the sight of such a fearsome foot, the rats are done. And with that, a glorious victory, wiping out 2 of their stacks as well as the garrison, which means this fort is now ours. After such a display of military Roman strength, of course, Queek wants peace, but we can't take it yet. We need the Eastern Badlands first. We then got a free run to Dringorakaz. We got a free run to Spike Peak, and with that, the Eastern Badlands are ours, and now we can get peace and focus on the final piece of the Badlands, the Southern Badlands. Currently controlled by ogres and Khorne, it would seem. And would you believe it, after all this time, nobody has actually come and claimed 8 Peak, so I decided to just take it for myself with my Squig Army boy, who I realise isn't really named very appropriately for a Squig Army leader, so I give him the proper name he has so rightly earned, Ball Tickler. The perfect name for the leader of the finest testicle army, Squig Army. Now, wasting no time, we head over towards the Southern Badlands. I start rearranging Gorbad's army for the next big plan. And while I'm doing that, I send Ball Tickler to go and take the little settlement Grunty Mingal off the ogres. But that son of a bitch Scarbrand beats us to it. And so we have to retreat because his army is maybe a little too big for ours. So I realize, well, let's get more Squigs. Why have I not got a full stack? I get myself the regiment of renowned Acid Burper, Colossal Squig, and more Squig Herd, because you know we gotta use Herd mentality again. Now Gorbad's army is ready, but before we get after Scarbrand, I figure Gorbad could use his legendary weapon, Morglor the Mangler. So we're gonna do his quest battle to get it. Now as this is a pre-release video, spoiler alert, if you don't want to see this, skip forward to 2547. Otherwise, I'll let Gorbad set the scene.
So, I hear in the basement don't want us here for some reason, boys. When I find them, I'm gonna take their orders. Ah, there they are, right out in the open. Them beastmen are done, but they ain't that done. Keep your eyes peeled for ambushes. They loves hiding in the trees. Speaking of trees, the scouts say they seen them tree men walking around here. They don't take too well towards shopping neither. But you get to what I says, and we'll chop them in their stride. Chop them all down. Trees, weaklings, everything.
So, we got beastmen to kill. We're going to assume this kind of arrowhead formation for no real reason. This wasn't really my plan with this tactic. It just looks cool, and the enemy army really isn't much. But as Gorbad said, there's probably going to be some little fuckers in the trees, so I've sent Nobnails and his boys to get rid of them, which took all of about 13 seconds. Of course, there's another ambushing army on the other side. I kind of figured there would be. I couldn't see this, obviously, when I was playing the battle, but I figured they'd be in there. Wasn't too worried, though, especially as they ran straight out of the forest straight at us as we were moving up as well. We headed straight for their 5 units of infantry in 3 single entities and had Nobnails marching around the back. And as you can imagine, a small tiny army facing my entire army, this wasn't really much of a challenge. Eventually they did get some reinforcements, which was 4 units of pigs, so they didn't last long either. But then the trees came alive and came after us as well. A tree men army came to get us. Hearing that there were elf sympathizers on the field, the boys just lost their shit and just charged towards the trees, and madness ensued, but so did a lot of dead trees, and that was pretty much the end of that one. I really wish they'd make quest battles hard again like they used to be. We got Gorbad's weapon though in the Morglor the Mangler ability, got magic attacks as well, amongst other things. It was now time for us to make the move on Skarbrand though, Ball Tickler kicking it off, getting Grunty Mingal. Gorbad made the push on Galbaraz. I decided to besiege them to try and get them to come out to fight me, but sadly they wouldn't, so we just took it and carried on pushing through. Ball Tickler heading for the last settlement though in the southern Badlands, Stormhenge, who were apparently going to put up a bit of a fight, so we had to fight this one. It was a minor settlement though. I did besiege them and try to get them to come out over the turn, but they didn't, so we had to go get them. And I broke my squigs up into loads of little squig parties coming in from all directions on this minor settlement, and to be honest, most of the time the demons looked like they were running in fear. They didn't know what to do with themselves. We had colossal squigs coming in, we had mangler squigs coming in. It was getting real messy, real fast, just the way squigs like it. Poor old Stuart was in this army who buffs up the squigs, but he was getting harassed by the Lord, but luckily the squigs had his back. You don't mess with a Night Goblin Squig Master without messing with his squigs. Needless to say, that didn't take long, and there it was. All the Badlands were ours. Southern, Western, Eastern. This was mission success, and actually the short campaign victory success as well, nearly. Just the top parts of the Blood River area, which is currently Crooked Moon, so that's fine. As long as it's greenskins, we could just come and bonk Skarsnik on the head if we really wanted it. But I was hoping to get some big battles at the end here, and we didn't get them, so I was gonna go searching for them. Gorbad hunted down Skarbrand and presented himself there ready for a battle, and Ball Tickler came face to face with Clanmores and Queek once again, so we strapped on our Erd mentality one more time, declared war on Queek, and went at him. He had a pretty tough army to be fair, but he wasn't ready for our evolution of the squig ball tactic, the full squig formation. That's right, this is a squig. What, you can't see it? Let me show you. This is his little squiggy body, this is his squiggy mouth. We got some squig legs down here, and of course, squig eyes. Two of them big, colossal squig eyes, and between his legs two, well, never mind about these ones actually, they don't, never mind. Let's go. The full squig formation is in motion, and what a ridiculous and terrifying sight it is. And of course, it's a formation made famous by Napoleon in the Battle of Waterloo, which is probably why he lost, because apparently it's not the most maneuverable of formations, fitting through small gaps, and tightly packing your entire army together when there's mortar-type attacks coming at you isn't the best idea either. Nevertheless, our squiggy boys get into combat and get after it whatever they can. Any rats in the way, they're getting munched. The colossal squigs having a great time rolling all over them. The mangler squigs are just doing whatever the fuck they do. And to be honest, most of the army was doing whatever they wanted, rampaging away with nothing I could do, so I just had to sit there and watch. Stuart did summon up some squigs though to get after some of the artillery and missiles, so that helped out a lot. Otherwise, it was just complete madness, and as I say, nothing I could really do. Apparently my lord was carried off by a doom wheel. What the fuck? We couldn't really get behind them much either, so I couldn't flank or hammer an anvil. We just kind of got stuck grinding them down, which was fine. Our mangler squigs were happy enough, and our squig herd was buffed up by Erd mentality. We did find Queek in the thick of it, getting stuck in, but he got knocked over by a colossal squig, eventually got himself to his feet, and then got knocked over by a rogue mangler squig. He's down again, he's getting up, and just as he regains composure, Ball Tickler pushes him down one more time, and then he's pretty much just, oh, he's gone. Yeah, he's gone now. He's done. With that, a glorious Pyrrhic victory with the squig ball formation. It was now up to Gorbad to get Skarbrand to fight, but he wanted peace. The little baby needed the peace, and when he couldn't get it, he ran away and hid in his castle. I can only assume he left his testicles there. So Gorbad went and knocking on his door, where he had 2 and a bit stacks that could take us on, so I thought, well, let's let him come out and fight us if he's got the minerals. One last time we needed to strap on our tactics, this time going with block and smash. This gives orc infantry a damage resistance when there are trolls nearby, and gives the trolls a damage boost when there's orc infantry nearby. We're also going to whack on the Greatest Warlord, which will give ward save and perfect vigor for Gorbad, and Heavy Metal Marching, which will give extra armor and fear for Black Orcs. And with the ending of the turn, Skarbrand must have found his balls in his bedside cabinet, strapped them on, and we're going. For this one, I wanted to use a good old military tactic, a sort of oblique order. So we needed a sturdy front line, and on one of the wings of that front line, we had an absolute mass of power. The Crimson Killers, 2 units of Black Orcs, Gorbad, and Knobnails, as well as a couple of Stone Trolls. The plan here is absolute concentration of force on this left side, break it quickly, and then flank around on all the stuff that's taken on our Black Orcs. But a lone unit of cavalry has come over all by itself to take on the entire army, so that's great. We get into them with the characters and the trolls, and Steve's being chased again, this time by dogs. Get out of there, Steve. I think he likes being chased, that one, to be honest. And it is an army of fleshhounds that come at us first, hitting our Black Orc front line. they're not too much of a worry, as our Black Orc boys are using a movable bulwark, so they got a shice a ton of melee defense, not so much melee attack though, so they're going to take a while to kill stuff. I'm trying my diddly darndest to push this way though and flank around and get after that frontline stuff, but there's just so much stuff in the way. There's so many dogs that keep getting in the way, and I can't actually come and help the front line. Skarbrand himself is here as well, so we got to do something about that bastard. But the enemies just keep coming. There's more and more reinforcements arriving. Chaos Warriors forsaken, and on the left side we still can't really get anywhere. They're sending all the good stuff at us. The Hellforge host is here. There's a Soul Grinder in the way, more dogs. Our Oblique Order not looking so hot. I decide our best course of action here is to try and get the big man dead, and there's only one boy for the job. Gorbad himself coming over to take on Skarbrand. He gets after him with a mighty charge, popping any ability he can to help him in this fight. Skarbrand pretty spooky with his 1.1k damage, but Gorbad's not far behind with his 900 damage and a bonus versus large. And with that almighty power, Gorbad hits Skarbrand so hard he knocks him into the ground like a fucking cartoon. Lovely. Gorbad himself not quite sure how that happened, but there's no time for celebrating. He's got more work to do. And speaking of doing work, Steve has been very helpful in this battle, dropping Here We Goes on the Black Orc front line. Because they don't have the support of the Oblique Order flanking attack, they've needed that extra melee attack from Here We Go to keep them in the fight, as well as the occasional mumbo jumbo chant, and Gork occasionally lends a foot too. And eventually, although we don't get to pull off the tactic the way we wanted, we do grind our way through all these Khorne units and get that victory. And with that, Gorbad has proved himself the greatest tactical mind in the old world. And there we go. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to consider supporting the channel, do check out the YouTube memberships or the Patreon. Or if you want more of this stuff, I got it right here. Otherwise, I will see you in the future. Today I'm going to take the Doggos and Hounds of Khorne to absolutely obliterate the worst possible place on the Immortal Empire's map. It is, of course, Ulthuan, where the High Elves reside. Blech. It makes me sick just thinking about going there, but I'm willing to do it for your enjoyment. Now, while I will be using primarily Doggos, that gives me only 2 units to use, which probably isn't very exciting to watch, so we're going to open it up to anything on 4 legs, which will give us the Blood Crushers and Skull Crushers, who are on a Juggernaut, which is kind of a doggy-looking unit, and Cavalry, because horses are basically just big dogs anyway, right? And there's only one that can lead an army of dogs, because he's the only legendary lord for Khorne. It is, of course, Skarbrand, who is basically an honorary dog, just on 2 legs. So, Skarbrand campaign, very hard, a little stat boost, let's go. As per usual, we must disband our starting army, which is mostly infantry, leaving us with just 1 unit of Doggo and Skarbrand. But we do have a hero who can get on a Juggernaut, so we will allow him in the army. The starting Orc army we're supposed to take on is likely a little too much for us, so we're going to fall back because we only need to construct this tier 2 building to get Flesh Hounds, who are going to make up the bulk of our army, because Lord knows Chaos Warhounds aren't going to be winning us any battles. But they'll have to do for now, alongside some Throwing Axe Horsemen, and once we do get the Flesh Hounds, we're going to make the push for our first settlement. In this battle I used the Throwing Axes to try and wear down the cavalry, the stronger, more dangerous stuff, and I charged in Skarbrand to try and disrupt those frontline Savage Orc units, because I don't want them to charge into my Doggos primarily, because they've got a decent charge themselves, so the safer we can keep the Doggos, the better. They'll be able to do more work. And all the while I had Skarbrand trying to chase down their lord, because if I can kill him off, it's going to break their leadership, and their low leadership anyway. So once that was done, they didn't last long, and we got ourselves a Pyrrhic victory. Lost a couple of units, but that's fine, we can re-recruit those. I then proceeded onwards to try and take the rest of this province as quickly as possible, although there was a Top-Knots army around to resist us. I recruited a second lord to pull the old ambush trick to try and get that army out away from the garrison. They did come out and get us, we didn't get an ambush, but still a battle we should be able to win. I used pretty much the same tactics as before, trying to break their leadership rather than trying to beat them in raw killing power, because that's what the Greenskins do best. So instead we can take their leadership with lots of flanking, Skarbrand charging around with his terror, and killing that enemy lord as quickly as possible to again give that big leadership penalty. This gave us Gor Gazan, and we were well on our way. But I anticipated this campaign was going to have one big problem, in that we're not going to be able to use Bloodhost armies because they're mostly full of infantry, which means I am going to need to keep Skarbrand fighting as much as possible, and maybe a second army too, just to keep everything up, because my growth and such for all my buildings and improving my settlements is tied to how many battles I have. So if I sit around for too long, I'm basically going to have no growth. I'm also buffing up my Doggos wherever possible in Skarbrand's skill points with Ferocious Hunters. That gives speed and charge bonus, and I can also get them a bonus versus large in the tech. But what I really need is Karanak, who can bring all the doggy buffs, but we got to get Skarbrand to level 16 before we can recruit him. So I'm trying to get Skarbrand in as many battles as I can, not just to level him up, but also to keep his bloodletting high so we can get that growth and everything else. This leads me to start taking a second province through Stormhenge and Galbaraz, but as I come to take the final settlement of Grunty Mingal, I find some smelly undead pirates there. Ronnie the Creeper, no less. That sounds like a nickname for that weird kid you went to school with. I decide it's a good time to go after Ronnie the Creeper and declare war on the Vampire Coast because I've got the top knots mostly beaten up now. However, their army is fairly large with a lot of guns, but a little bit of strategic prowess might just lead us to victory. One way we can deal with a much larger force is to try and break it up into two. In this case, I'm going to try and ignore this whole part of the enemy army. It's kind of behind all the rocks anyway, so for now I'm just going to focus on absolutely smashing this right-hand side of their army, ideally concentrating all of my force into a few units at a time, getting rid of them and then sweeping and moving down the line. We also have the major speed advantage here, so we can get behind them quickly and flank and envelop them so that their units break quickly. Also, with the help of Skarbrand, who is slowly becoming more and more powerful and more of a force to be reckoned with just by himself, we're able to put these chewy zombie units away very quickly. There is a bunch of Free Company militia, but we can break their leadership. And then once we've finished up on this right side, we can move towards the center, and all that stuff on the left will still be kind of coming over. I've had my missile cavalry harassing them and drawing their attention as well. And as always, having Skarbrand go after their lord and get rid of them as soon as possible is only going to help us as well. So bada bing, we get rid of that larger army pretty comfortably. We do lose a few units in the process, but we can raise this up and wait for our corny mechanics to take it. And we're well on our way to getting 2 solid provinces and readying ourselves for that assault on Ulthuan. Now, on occasion, I had other factions threaten me with war unless I gave them money, and I paid them off just to keep them at bay for now. I want as few wars as possible, really, so I'm not delayed in getting to Ulthuan. I also started to make myself a small second army around this time as well, just so I could try and speed things along, although money was tight. I pretty much got the top knots finished off. The Beastmen came and took one of their settlements, and I took their remaining one. And then I decided to go after the Beastmen as well to A, get rid of them, and B, take this third province, and that should give us a nice little home base to go and attack Ulthuan from. The Beastmen had a couple of armies around, but they weren't any problem to deal with. Their armies typically were made of low leadership crappy units, so much like the Greenskins, we would aim to break their leadership rather than beat them in a full-on fight. So lots of flanking, enveloping, Skarbrand charging around with his terror. As I came back to replenish at Galbaraz, though, that cheeky bitch Aranessa came along and tried to take Galbaraz, and while I only had a small army and I figured I'm probably not going to win this, I'm going to have a good go at trying to damage them as much as possible. So I made sure all my towers were firing, trying to maximize damage output. I sent my units outside to keep the enemy units fighting in front of the towers. I did manage to sneak out the 2 units of doggos as well, who found some undefended deck gunners and artillery and absolutely ran them through. And of course, with Vampire Coast, their units completely disintegrate and disappear, so I just wanted to make their army much smaller. And I actually did a pretty good job of taking out most of their army in this one. I pretty much destroyed this entire large attacking force from this one direction, but from the other side of the city, about 3 or 4 units of Mongols came, and we couldn't finish those off. We were too beaten up, so we didn't win, but we did get a lot of damage done, which set up Skarbrand to come and reclaim it. Now, I got given a new Blood Reaper hero, but whenever I clicked on him, he seemed to love having a good old shout.
Hunger to slay. Blood Reaper.
So it seemed that his name, Huntmaster Kron Bullsworn, wasn't really accurate, so I changed his name to something more fitting, which I decided was Shoutmaster Flex. You know, like legendary 90s hip-hop DJ Funkmaster Flex, but a shouty version.
Let blood flow.
Now at this point, I nearly got my 3 provinces done. I've got the Marshes of Madness. I think Wurzag must have raised up this last settlement, and then we just got it for free. I then pushed to Grunty Mingal, the last settlement I needed, got rid of the Vampire Coast there again. Thought I was safe from them for a while, but apparently not. They brought another army and sacked Stormhenge. So I went over there to bonk them on the head, got the regiment of renowned doggos along the way, and then all along the next turn I got a non-aggression pact with Queek, which is always helpful, got declared war on by Archon, and attacked by that Vampire Coast army. And while this could have been a Pyrrhic victory, I would have lost pretty much all my army, so I needed to fight this one. Pretty much the same old usual tactics, to be honest. Work to treat. The only problem was the flying units I couldn't do anything about, but they weren't enough to stop us. After that, I cleaned up the rest of this army to get the Vampire Coast completely out of here and secure my borders. And it was all coming together now. I got Skarbrand to level 16, so I was able to get Karanak. I'd already pre-built the building ready for him. So now our doggos were going to get far more dangerous. Just in time to eat some elves. We also had Aranessa come along and get peace with us, so perfect, we didn't need that war anymore. Wurzag came along and offered a non-aggression, so perfect, we don't have to worry about him. And what's more, Wurzag even finished off the beastmen I was warring with, so it saved me a job having to finish them off. Beautiful. From here I started to muster my forces and sort out my army. I had one big, stronger army and then just a really small little one for now because I didn't have the funds for much more than that. I quite luckily as well was able to get peace with Archon because he was going to be a worry that he'd just come in and take all my stuff, but luckily some Skaven came along and started taking all his shit, so he didn't want to mess with us anymore. And with all these stars aligning, it seemed like now was the time, so I headed for Ulthuan. As I arrived, I sent in Shoutmaster Flex to scout around and see what we were dealing with, and I found some Vampire Coast had taken some of the High Elf territory, so this was great. This was going to take a little bit of the heat off me, and had perhaps pulled armies away from Lothern, because this was undefended and going to be my first target, declaring war on Etain, which was going to be a huge blow for them if I could take this, because it's a tier 5 settlement. So I wasted no time and went straight for it as soon as possible, and my mostly doggo army had to deal with an army of mostly archers. GG elves. I used a bit of cunning deception in this one, sending Skarbrand and my hero towards one door, which made the enemy put all of their units over this side, and then on the other side of the map I had all my doggos hidden away, and then I brought out the warhounds to take care of the doors, because as we all know, just like in real life, dogs are great for chewing through 6-inch thick wooden and metal doors in no time at all, which of course facilitated the entry of the rest of my doggos, meaning there were dogs fucking everywhere. Back on the other side of the map, I was having not so much fun as Skarbrand was bugged and stuck in the door and wouldn't move and would just stood there getting shot, losing all of his health. Good funny fun. My dogs though were pouring through the city, and I was going for the victory objectives in this one, trying to take both of those and just getting the victory that way, which I managed to do fairly quickly given that we had a massive speed advantage as they had mostly infantry, and any infantry that did come our way was just munched down quickly because it was mostly archers. So a comfortable victory which we were gonna need because I was expecting a lot of high elf armies to all converge on me pretty soon. Now, of course, I'd saved up some skulls to be able to take this right away, so I could have a little base of operations, and I actually forgot that when I take it, it's still going to be a tier 4 settlement. And what do you know, it's already got the cavalry building constructed, which means I can get blood crushers right now. I think we call that an absolute victory. Now, while Skarbrand was becoming pretty powerful in his own right, as Skarbrand does, Karanak was now getting his skill points to start buffing up our doggos. This 5% physical resistance from this skill point here, and the ability to summon a unit of flesh hounds, and we could also take Alpha Hound to give all of our doggos stalk and reduce their upkeep. Very nice. And over the next turn, I used his doggy powers, putting him in the smaller army, which only had a few warhounds and the Lord, and I was able to take one of the other nearby settlements of Ifres, and sack it for a very nice 8 grand because I was pretty short on money right now, so this was my plan, to sack and raise as much as possible and make my money that way. I'm half expecting somebody to start going taking all of my 3 provinces back home, so the sooner I can get a big bunch of money in the bank, the better. Over the turn though, a stinking Avalorn army came and besieged me at Lothern, so I brought over my smaller army. We had to attack them there and then. And for a second I thought I was playing multiplayer again because these filthy elves were corner camping in the trees. My doggos, though, were ready and waiting to launch a big flank offensive, as I was just sending in the crappy garrison infantry first to try and draw some attention and open things up a bit, and then all my doggos were going to come in from the left and just absolutely get behind them and ruin all of their stupid little elf lives. We just needed to make sure they couldn't use all of their missiles, and we were okay. We were able to chomp through the dragon and the treekin, their tougher units, and I won't make you watch any more of this horrible tree battle. So we took a Pyrrhic victory there. We did lose a few units of doggos, so we need to try and re-recruit them as quickly as possible. A bunch more skill points for Skarbrand and Karanak as well, so buffing them up and our doggos even further there. And as I feared, all of the elf armies from all of the different factions started to converge on me. I fought them off as best as I could with my beaten up army, another battle in the trees, and guess what? Another corner camping high elf army. I should have expected no less from filthy, cowardly elves. I managed to beat them away, but then another army in a bit came to get me. I decided to try retreating away from this one, which I did, but then an Ivres army came and got me instead, which we had to fight, but it was fine. It looked winnable. My small army had to hide in the trees while we waited for the reinforcements. Their army made a small boo-boo though, sending over a missile cavalry, which made a nice pre-battle snack for some of our hounds. And then they sent over a couple of flying units, one of which was Eltharion, and this is where they made the major boo-boo. Because guess who just arrived as reinforcements? The big man. And he was gunning straight for Eltharion, who was right there for the taking. He had his back to him, he didn't even see it coming. I popped all of Skarbrand's buff, so he was doing a mighty 1.4k damage per hit, so Eltharion naturally wasn't going to last long. What is Skarbrand doing to this griffin? This is a fucking family show, Jesus Christ. Whatever happened, we ended up with a dead elf, so absolute victory. We then just needed to munch down the infantry, which was no issue. There was a bunch of missiles. There were some tougher Silvering Guard, but we were able to get through those slowly but surely. And with that victory, we pushed Ivres back, but the Lothern boys were still there, so we had to get rid of them. Another goddamn battle in the same situation. I could get a pretty decent auto-resolve Pyrrhic victory on this, losing a few doggos. And I decided to take that because, well, I couldn't be bothered to fight these goddamn battles anymore. I wanted to move away and actually make some progress. But alas, that was not allowed, as Tainted had another army that came to get me. I had to fight this one because I was going to lose all my flesh hounds if I didn't, and they were getting pretty high rank right now, so I had to fight another battle around Lothern, but this time it was a choke point battle at least, so something a bit different, and I was able to funnel them all into the choke point and use my doggos and my newly recruited blood crushers to absolutely smash them all in a big ball and make a lovely elven stew. And with that victory, we were able to finally get some breathing room as there were no other immediate high elf armies about to attack us. So I could now replenish, recruit, and start making some progress and taking out these high elf settlements, starting with the rest of my Lothern province. So I started with a nice easy take just to the west, but over the turn I noticed that there was a lot of armies amassing to my east. So I came back, set up an ambush, and managed to get one of the Avalorn armies. Somehow I was able to get a decisive victory auto-resolve against a 6-dragon army, so I did not look that gift horse in the mouth, and I took it. But of course, 3 seconds later, I was then attacked by an Ivres army, which again I decided to auto-resolve. It was only going to cost me 1 unit of doggos, and I was bored of fighting these damn battles. And with those victories, I again had a little bit of space to push out and go and start taking more of the territory I needed for my first Ulthuan province. Now, I also found that the Dark Elves had made their way over here as well. The Cult of Pleasure had been taking some stuff off the High Elves, so that was helpful to me. But those are still elves on my Ulthuan. So we'll have to get rid of them at some point, but for now, I need to get rid of these smaller High Elf factions that I've got beaten down. The Blue Vipers have moved in here. I can live side by side by Greenskins. They're allowed to stay. And now I again had a little space to do some work, so I pushed out to take some settlements. I pushed a little bit east, but mostly west to try and get rid of Lothern. Both my armies were getting stronger along the way here as well. My second army had got some flesh hounds and a couple of blood crushers. And we had Lothern on their last legs now. They had about 2 settlements left. I needed to get rid of them so that I don't have so many high elf factions to deal with, all building their own bunch of armies. Shoutmaster Flex was still about, expressing himself calmly.
Let blood flow!
I had him going in for some assassinations.
Love River, take skull!
He's such a level-headed guy. Nice work, Shoutmaster Flex. Grokgar, who's back near my home provinces, tried to extort me, so I told him to shit right off, trying to make me pay him 8 grand. I may live to regret that, though. As I was pushed out west, though, the Avalorn army came and took out those poor orcs and tried to besiege Lothern. I did fight this one to get a better result because our army was pretty well equipped to deal with what they had, and that was the end of them. And again, we had a bit more space for more expansion. So I pushed to finally take control of this Ulthuan province, taking the last 2 settlements, and I had Lothern pretty much done for now, and finally getting this full province, we now had a really nice base to work from to take out the rest of Ulthuan. And I figured my second army's lord had finally done enough to earn a doggy name promotion. Festergax became Festerwolf Helldog. Or Helk Dog? No. Helldog, there we go. More lizards back home tried to extort me, and they got told to scheisse right off as well, so we'll see if they come after my home provinces. I don't really care at this point. If I lose them, not a big deal. I now moved to take care of the last Lothern settlement and get them wiped off the map. And I just realized I think I keep calling them Lothern when they're actually called Tainted. Lothern is my city. Now, as I had 50 grand in the bank, I decided it was time to expand operations and get a 3rd army. But as I just got rid of 1 high elf faction, another 2 start showing their faces, Cathik attacking us here, breaking up my beautiful province that I've just captured. And over the other side, Illyrian are now pushing Skarbrand. We're being besieged at this settlement, and it's not looking great for us, so I'm going to try and get my other army over there to help out. But I can't get them there in time before they attack us, and we've got a fight on our hands. I'm going to lose all my flesh hounds, my gold chevron flesh hounds. Can't do that, so we got to fight it. Again, I pushed out and took the fight to them outside. They did have a fair few archers and some artillery, so plenty of stuff we could easily run down with our doggos. And with our towers constantly firing as well, it wasn't too much of an issue. Plus, you know, Skarbrand. I tried to get rid of any armies I could before taking settlements, because they were probably just going to take them back otherwise. And some of these were especially laughable when half of their army was archers. For this one, I sent Scarbrand and the Heavy Cav in the front to deal with the melee infantry. They of course come with their big heavy charge bonuses, especially the Knights of the Brazen Throne. And then I had an almighty doggo flank coming in from the left side, just absolutely munching down all the tasty little high elf archers. Elf thigh is my doggo's favourite flavoured treat, so they were beside themselves. With them out the way, I was able to take some of Valyrian stuff, the Eagle Gate here. That was going to be a nice little defensible point for us. Things were a little bit worrying back near Lothern, though, as a couple of stacks were knocking around. Ivres had come back. I managed to get a block army on them. I'm not sure it was going to help much here, but I set up an ambush, which managed to get them. Eltharion obviously not learned his lesson from the last time we ambushed him. I'm pretty sure his Griffin hasn't forgotten about it, though. Another Catholic army comes at us from somewhere. Who knows? They're a decisive victory away from death, so we're going to take that. I'm then going to push on one of their settlements, and I'm going to try to get rid of Safari now, as I've got them down to their last few settlements. And like I said earlier, it's better if I can single out a certain faction and get rid of them, rather than trying to fight like 5 factions at the same time. But over the turn, as I see, the Unicorn Gate is there for the taking of Safari. There are 3 Avalon armies nearby as well, so I do not want to get converged on by all of those. So I do need to be careful. I'm going to stay back here, set myself up in ambush. I'll be able to retreat if I need to. Back over the other side, Festerwolf is taking a settlement to try and get the auto-taking of the other settlements in the region, although one of them is still occupied by Ivres. I start using my 3rd army to take out what I can, a small little settlement taken off Avalon there. The Dread Fleet are around. You can see some Vampire Coast there. They might help us out, taking on the elves as well. But as you can see, we're slowly but surely getting there, turning the donut red. We've nearly got rid of Safari. I'd like to get rid of Ivres, the other smaller faction, and then deal with the larger faction in Avalon. But Avalon are still hanging around this area. I can't get near Safari to finish them off, not without it being a little too risky. One of their armies is pushed out west, Dark Elves, giving them some trouble as well, so that's helpful for us. Avalon, though, coming to attack Eagle Gate and sacking it here, as they don't seem to take it, and then the Dark Elves seem to take them out because they're just not here anymore. So that's one of the Avalon armies out the way, courtesy of some other elves. I do enjoy seeing elf-on-elf crime, but I do spy myself an opportunity, as it looks like the Avalon armies have moved away from this region, and I'm going to take a risk diving in here. I can't see what's ahead. No extra Avalon armies here, which means their main settlement of Gain Vale is quite undefended and mine for the taking. So Scarbrand is going to trot his little hooves over to Gain Vale. That is undefended by the garrison, which is mostly archers again. And as we can win this as a Pyrrhic victory, losing no units, I'll take it. And thank you very much, Avalon. I've now taken their strongest, most profitable, most useful. Hold up, 68 grand for sacking. Don't mind if I do, sir. I'll come back and take it in a second. And because this is Avalon's starting settlement, it's no doubt cost them a lot of money to lose that, and they won't be able to recruit their best units. So it looks like we might be dismantling them first. And as they've got no armies around defending these settlements with pretty small garrisons, I guess we'll raise these to the ground too. So I'm going to keep pushing around, taking all these settlements, and Avalon is now in a very bad way, which I know you'll be glad to hear. Now, while all this was going on, I was sending my other 2 armies down towards Ivres to try and finish off this province and push on to Ivres itself. I set up another ambush here, 80% chance on this one. I had Shoutmaster Flex attempt another assassination, which he succeeded again. I'm pretty sure he just shouts them to death. And because Eltharion is dumber than a box of rocks, we got another ambush on him. That's 3. I'm starting to feel a little bit bad for him. I'm only joking. He's an elf. Blech. We're slowly getting there, though, as the donut becomes more and more red. We do take out the city of Alessaili here, and we'll just wait for this to become ours. We're going to raise it up and let the mechanics take it for us. One of our smaller armies nearly gets done in, but we're able to retreat, thankfully, and they don't come after us. Back over on Scarbrand's side, I find that someone has raised up the Phoenix Gate off of Safari. I guess it's Silostra, who has appeared up in the north here as well. So a free gate for us. Back on the other side, another ambush set up for this Ivres army. We're going to get him again. Apparently, we're really good at ambushing Ivres, or they're just really not good at seeing ambushes. But now maybe we can head for Ivres itself. And over the next couple of turns, we can. I'm actually going to besiege Ivres itself, which does have a large garrison and a bit of an army outside. But the army is outside, so while we're besieging, we can bring over our other army to take on the smaller army. And they are going to run away. That is Eltharion himself. And that is going to set us up to absolutely obliterate the city of Tor Ivres, and Eltharion will go down as probably the worst elf general in history in this campaign. I then have Scarbrand circle around and come in from that northern direction to take on Cathik, and with that help, it doesn't take long for us to finish off this side, absolutely destroying Cathik and Ivres, and that makes the donut even redderer, as all the ruined settlements start to get filled in as well. So we're most of the way there now. We've just got to get rid of the other elves left on this continent, those damn dirty dark elves, and maybe Silostra as well. But oh, Grand Hierophant Hetep has decided to declare war on me, because why not, eh? Because I'm nowhere near him and I'm not a threat to him, and yeah, obviously this makes sense. Also, old man Ironbrow comes along and declares war on us as well, and he's the one that I was kind of waiting for, that I was kind of expecting to invade my territory at some point. And of course he is going to, and he's going to start taking all of my shit back home, literally, over the turns. He pretty much gets rid of everything over there. But we're not worried, we're about to get the entirety of Ulthuan all to ourselves, declaring war on the Dark Elves here, the Cult of Pleasure. I start taking their settlement in the north with Skarbrand and bring my other armies in from the south and make my way up around the western side. I also hit the one settlement they had on the eastern coast, trying to take out as much of their Ulthuan territory as quickly as I could before they could respond. But they didn't even really seem to respond at all. There were none of their armies on Ulthuan. They all seem to have buggered off somewhere. So a lot of free real estate, and we've got the donut mostly red now. They did seem to be gathering some armies just across the Black Sea, though, on our western borders, which I didn't like the look of, so I went to sort them out, raised up the settlement on the edge here, and tried to make sure that they wouldn't bother us while I went to take the rest of Ulthuan. Which is what I went to do next, heading north towards Silostra to take those settlements off her, but there was an army and a bit coming, so I had to come back to defend. I wasn't sure we'd be able to defend without Skarbrand. But over the turn, while the smaller army came ashore, the larger one seemed to disappear, which is a bit strange. But we had some slightly bigger problems as Nagarond was arriving on the continent. They seemed to be at war with Silostra. They've taken her out, so I sent Skarbrand up there to thwart their assault before they got too busy. But whoa, over the turn they got a bit ballsy, and so we went ballsy back on them with the dog ball formation. Everyone knows a dog's best friend is a ball, not a human man. So we march in a ball-like formation that poses absolutely no advantage, no strategic value, but you try telling dogs not to march in a ball formation. They fucking love it. So we spread out as we got closer. That was pretty much the gist of it. We sent in a few doggy phalanxes here and there, cutting straight through the middle of their front line to get behind them with ease, get after their artillery and missiles. And of course, slowly but surely, we munched our way through them. Our dog's pretty strong now with all the skill points from Skarbrand, from Karanak, and from their own ranking up. Not to mention we got regiments of renown and blood crushers in there, so we're pretty damn formidable, not even counting Skarbrand. Over the turn, I then continue on to attack Tor Anlek and take that off of them. They've got a lot of shades in there. That's tasty munchies for all our doggos. But while this has been going on, the Cult of Pleasure's armies have come out of the woodwork and are pushing heavy on my west and southern side of Ulthuan, taking a bunch of my settlements, giving me goddamn problems I gotta go back and fix. I do have my pretty strong second army back here now, though, defending Festerwolf, and he is being besieged, though, by Marathi herself, so we're actually going to take this fight because we got a couple of extra units here in this army as well, as I've gone and recruited myself some Soul Grinders, because I thought they had 4 legs, but they actually have 6, so whoops, but hey, they still got 4 legs technically, they just got 2 extra ones. Shut up. This army is pretty tough, though. They got some strong units in here. They got a bunch of single-entity monsters. So something a little bit different for our doggos to deal with. But we've got the anti-large bonus against these, so that should help us out as long as we can surround them well. But overall, while this army did have some strong units, Demonettes and Shades and Charybdises, they were all outmatched by the strength of Doggo and maybe some Blood Crusher power as well. So they took a good old pounding, which freed us up to go and reclaim some of the territory they'd taken off us. They tried their luck with us on occasion, but Skarbrand was back down here now, so we didn't really have anything to worry about. We just needed to mop up what was left of these damn dirty cultists. I then went and reclaimed all my lost territory in no time at all, but just as I thought things were done and we were over and we were finally going to get the fully red donut, a bunch of Nagaron clown dicks came in from the north, so we had to defend against them and get rid of them and wait for all the other settlements to turn to ours as well. Some of them were still ruins. But these 3 armies weren't too much of a problem. Luckily, we were able to take them out fairly quickly once I brought Skarbrand and everyone back up here. And eventually, once we got rid of them and we let all the ruined settlements turn to ours, the Red Donut had become a reality, a land of true corn dogs, and not an elf in sight, how life should be. By this point, I'd lost everything back home. As you can see, Thorek had taken it all. Elspeth came and took a little bit of it, but we didn't care. We got the donut, baby. In large part to the doggos, of course, Karanak buffing the doggos up nicely, and Skarbrand, of course, himself is a force to be reckoned with. And it wasn't all doggos, we had the blood crushers and such as well, but we got it done. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Hey, you want more of this stuff? I got a playlist right here. Thanks to all the patrons who support this channel, and I will see you in the future. Grombrindle. Today we're going to take this absolute mad lad across the world in search of the foulest beasts of the darkness. No, not the elves this time, it's going to be demons. Of all shapes and sizes, we're going to go and hunt them down, and if we see them, we're taking them out. And we're going to use one special tool that demons typically hate the most. holy fire or just regular fire. Both work fairly well. We'll use only weapons that... Look at him running. Look at his terrified little elf face. Run, little elfie. You could definitely outrun the fire. Die. Anyway, as I was saying, we're only going to use units that cause fire damage or buff up fire damage in some way. So come with me now as we destroy our foes with lovely, warm, frame rate destroying fire. So, Grombrindle campaign starts up in the Nagarond area. We're going to do very hard, a little bit of a stat boost as always. We start by getting rid of the units that don't cause any kind of fire damage because we don't want them. This leaves us with nothing but a unit of Iron Drakes and Brimstone Gun Gyrocopters, as well as Grombrindle, of course, who doesn't have fire damage yet. We do have a Runesmith as well, who we will use in the army because he has the Rune of Wrath and Ruin, which causes fire damage, so he's allowed. Our first army to burn to a crisp is some Ratty Men, but they suck, so there's not really much point fighting it, so auto-resolve on that. We're going to do the same on the settlement battle. Again, a decisive victory. We're not really going to lose anything. Just before we move over the turn, though, we're going to recruit some Blasting Charge Miners, as they do have the fire damage on that Blasting Charge. And a couple of turns on, we're ready to attack the final settlement in this province, the Ultimate Arknugfrafrakentcag. By which I, of course, mean the Ultimate... Oh... So anyway, I besiege them and they come out to fight me. I could get a decisive victory here, but let's cook some rats. Grombrindle, the boys, and me are curious to know how well a fire army can do in the Warhammer world. Well, against Skaven, horrifically well. Their lack of armor makes them a perfect candidate for being burned to a crisp by a fire army. Our blasting charges did a lot of damage. We could take an angle with the Iron Drakes here, hit some nice side shots and just melt a whole big pile of them. The Gyrocopters could flank around and crisp them up from the back. As a first test of our fire army, things were looking pretty tasty. Rat burgers are back on the menu, boys. With this victory, I decided to actually sack this settlement first before I took it because I wanted the Oath Gold to forge us up some fiery trinkets as soon as possible. So I'm farming it wherever I see it. And we've got the full province now, and I've upgraded some buildings so I can now recruit Iron Drakes. And this is all I'm doing for now, is just trying to build my army up, build my province up so I can get all the units I need, all in aid of building the
ultimate super mega fire blasted demon hunting bastard army of death and fire and death.
Right now I'm trying to farm that Oath Gold, so I'm going after the nearby Mung faction, and then we're going to go off demon hunting. And of course, if one wants to fit in the ultimate super mega fire bastard demon hunting bastard army of death and fire and death, you need a fiery related name. So we christen my runesmith Jamek Gilded Stone to become Jammy Flamestone. I've also just received a free Thane, Stromny Grunson, who will become Stromny Emberson. Lovely, the fire gods are pleased. I was, of course, also putting skill points into anything that buffs up my fire units, like Fire and Fury here. I then sent Stromny to go and scout the area ahead to see what we had. There was a big Mung army. They tried to sneak past us weirdly. I decided it was time for a chaos cookout. I could get a decisive victory, but let's see what our fiery boys can do.